Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Great to be with you. Good Monday. Hope you're doing well. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything. But, hey, if you do, we got you covered all 3 hours, posted every day upon the conclusion of the program, both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. You can always email the show if you like. JCS at 979ESPNradio.com. A lot of emails, as you might expect. A lot of emails. I got a few. We printed some out here. We got some good ones. I'll read them, get to your questions via the email. On Twitter, it's at @JCameronShow. At @JCameronShow. You can reach out there if you have a question in show. It's #ahole.
#ahole.
There you go. WTSM app for your mobile devices. And, we're on YouTube. ESPN Tallahassee. Type that in when you get to YouTube, and you'll be able to find us performing this here program. Well, 0-2 is not what you'd hope for, right? Sweet Jesus. I want to go back to all of the conversations we were having about what could theoretically happen if this, then that. Can we go back to talking about games instead of playing them? I like the ones where we just talk about the things we think might happen instead of actually having them happen. I want to go back to what we thought was hell, which was us having to talk about games that would be played at some point instead of talking about the losses that are happening now. It's more fun that way, Tom. I've discovered, I went back and listened to some shows, you and I speculating as to what might occur, if, then, this, that, and all the other. And I felt very good about those shows. And now the stark reality gets a running start and slaps you across your face and says, suck it. None of that's going to happen. Your team's going to lose. And, by the way, in order to have real fun with this, I should quote Bob McAdoo, the great Giants coach. We all refer to him as the great Giants coach. Quote, "Our first win keeps getting delayed." That was a quote he had after yesterday's loss for the Giants. Our first win keeps getting delayed. Isn't that so, Bob? We agree here at Florida State. Our first win keeps getting delayed. Well, Florida State's 11-6 in the ACC post Jameis Winston. Do with that what you will. They're 14-8 in their last 22 games. No matter where you're at with it's this guy's fault, it's that guy's fault, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. 14-8 over your last 22, 11-6 in the ACC post Jameis, is not getting it done when you're recruiting 4- and 5-star kids. That's inarguable. That is you not getting the job done, period. Again, I like to put things in proper perspective. Not every conversation born out of frustration after a loss is a referendum on whether or not somebody should be fired or not. That's what we are these days, right? An all-or-nothing sort of deal. On almost every very nuanced issue, everybody wants to go all or nothing. That's not what I'm saying here. But I think it's self-evident when you point out that somebody is 14-8 in their last 22 games and 11-6 in the ACC, and they're amongst the elite in recruiting year in and year out, that's not getting the job done. And it's not. You have to play up to your potential if you're going to avoid dissatisfaction in the fan base, and they simply aren't doing that post Jameis Winston. And, it's bizarre. Think about this weekend, for example, against Wake Forest. When that game concludes, to find Florida State, you're going to have to look outside that little top 25 thing on the right-hand side of the scoreboard on ESPN.com. You can't go find them there. You're going to have to hit all FBS because you can't find Florida State otherwise. You have to hit all FBS. When you watch the game, you see a lot of elements of confusion and apprehension, delay, and frustration. And it's different. It's varied. It goes to a player, it goes to a segment, goes to a coach, and it happens quarter in and quarter out. And right now it's built to a place where if you listen to Jimbo Fisher's press conference today, and in a moment you'll hear my interview with him from last night, there's, especially today, I thought, sort of a look of a resignation to the fact that he knows as of right now they're doing a poor job. The coach is telling you that with his answers, that he knows there's some disconnect. It could be that he is having to come to the realization that maybe there's some members of his staff that need to be replaced, that need to be fired. And he's not a guy that likes to do that. He's a very loyal guy, and he likes to stick by people that he's entrusted in to do their job. But if you look all around him right now, you see guys that in some ways, and it's different days, are failing him. Now, ultimately, everything falls at the feet of a head coach. I got you. That's true. And a head coach will tell you that's true. The buck stops with him. But in the interim, when segments are failing or where there are inconsistencies that cost the team the game more often than not, you then begin to zero in on the guys who are tasked with the responsibility of preparing those players to do a better job. And I think you can almost hear it in his answers. You can hear it in his voice. You can hear the frustration. He's done a very good job of taking blame, especially this time around. If you go back, if you listen to my interview, which you'll hear in a moment again, but if you heard him today, you almost wish he wouldn't take the blame so that you could vent more, so you could get angrier about the situation because you feel it down deep, but he did. And once a coach does that, there's not much more you can say. In fact, once a coach comes out early in the conversation, early in the press conference, or early in an interview and says, we have to do a better job. We have to do a better job as coaches of putting them in positions to succeed. We're going to have to do better, teach them, move forward, going to have to play better, coach better. There's not a lot you can do with that. Yeah. You can nod your head, yes. Yes, I agree. They're not being well coached currently. That's true, Coach. Thanks for the conversation. There's just not a lot you can do with that, but it's the right thing to do, to accept responsibility. I mean, some of the answers, once he takes that blame, some of the questions and the subsequent answers are gibberish. They're a guy just taking the time to fill because he's got to do the press conference. But once you say, I'm not doing a good job, what the hell else is there to say? Coach, your receivers were misaligned yet again, and you had to call 2 of your 6 timeouts in order to avoid a delay of game because they couldn't get lined up. That cost us. We've got to coach them better. That's just not acceptable. All righty. That'll do it. Coach, it seems that, couldn't get off the field on third downs. There was an awfully large cushion that you were giving NC State's receivers, despite the fact that they don't throw the ball down the field. Did you, in retrospect, look at that and think that perhaps we should use our 4- and 5-star athletes to press up on their receivers? Well, certainly at times we did provide quite the cushion, and they took advantage of that. We're going to have to coach them better. Okay. All right. I think we're good here. That's hey, special teams played well. It's true, they did. They did, Jeff. They played well. Well, I mean, there's nowhere else you can go. I mean, that's it in a nutshell. It's self-evident is my point. This isn't one of those things where it's nuanced to the point that you would say, well, that's not exactly true. This has happened and this has happened, and that's out of a coach's hands, or this is happening. No, man, nobody's interested in the individual plays because you can do that, right? You can go through and look at every individual play and say, well, on this play, this guy failed us. And on this play, the refs missed a call. And on this play, we just weren't tough enough to make a tackle in the hole. And on this play, and if we do this, then, that puts them in this situation. And nobody cares. Nobody cares. What they care about is when you're a 4 or 5-star recruit kind of program and you bring those guys in waves and you lose at home when you had 3 weeks to prepare for a game against NC State and you look like that, they want answers. And the only answer he can give you now, in fairness to him, is that they have to do a better job of coaching. And I think that's accurate. Have a good day. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I mean, that's about it. That's where they're at. And it doesn't satiate your appetite for success or bloodlust or whatever it might be. Somewhere in between is probably where we need to be. I'd like to see some wins. Let's start there. 0-2, about to be October. That's a toughie. That's tough. It's especially tough when you're kind of, out of it and we're just entering October, and we were out of it last year as well. That's a tough thing to deal with, isn't it?
Might hurt your feelings a
A
little
little
bit.
bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. Hurts my feelings. Hurts your feelings. Makes you angry. I agree. I especially think that it's even more tough to stomach when the excuses you expected to be able to fall back on if things went south are not things that you can point to. Your freshman quarterback, given the circumstances, by and by, played mighty well. I thought he played pretty well. I think he shows real signs of being very good. I mean, listen, let's remind ourselves that that's a kid that wasn't even an early enrollee and never expected to start. So he comes into this season with very limited experience, none on the field, as a third-string, fourth-string kid entering camp. And one game into the season, he's told, "You're our starter." Given those factors, I thought he played pretty well. I think he was let down by some of his teammates, but I thought he played pretty well. And then special teams, which on a weekly basis over the last 3 years has sucked, was very good. Other than Mr. Chubb on NC State, who wreaked havoc time and again, you could argue that Florida State's special teams were the best thing on the field on Saturday. It was shocking, stunning to be able to say that. To be able to say with a straight face, seriously, are you guys watching Florida State special teams just whooping that ass today? You never say that. You never say that. You could on Saturday, and that would be accurate. And yet, the team loses to NC State, who is, a flukish result away from being undefeated currently. True, they might be a better team than people realize given the South Carolina loss. If you didn't see that game and you didn't realize how much NC State outplayed South Carolina, you might not be willing to accept that. But here's the other truth to that. Sure, they called a good game. They coached a good game. Their quarterback executed exceptionally well on the road, played smart, real smart, was very accurate with the football, did the things that they asked of him. That's all well and true, and you give your opponent credit. You have to. NC State played well. Does NC State have the kind of players Florida State does? Do they? Of course they don't. There's a guy here or a guy there. They're especially on the defensive side. They're going to play on Sundays. They've been there. Good players. They had a couple of guys on that side of the ball would start for Florida State. That's true. But on the whole, is NC State anywhere near as talented as Florida State? No. And when the more talented team loses, and it's not because of a freshman quarterback or fluky results born out of poor special teams play, then you only have one place to point the finger of blame. Now, that finger is being pointed squarely at a bunch of guys on the staff currently, whether that's Charles Kelly, who's not doing enough with top-level defensive talent, and I agree with that. He's not. Whether it's Rick Trickett or whether it's Lawrence Dossie, whose receivers can't get lined up, you name your guy. Everybody's got a different guy that is, the guy that they're most fired up about. Doesn't matter. It's just that it's not getting done. And I think when you look at the press conference today, Coach Fisher, who's an extremely smart guy, and I've had the privilege to talk to for 10 years now. And one thing I notice about him when he's kind of soul-searching and trying to figure some things out about what to do in certain circumstances that he knows is not being executed or up to snuff, let's just put it that way, things that aren't being executed in the way that he would wish for. He turns inward, and you can watch him as he's answering questions. Synapses firing, baby. He's in his own head. And the answers sometimes kind of trail off into gibberish because he's thinking a million miles an hour about what am I going to do? And the problem you have here is it's early. A long season of football ahead of us. Some important games and results lay out there, okay? And things can be salvaged to some degree now. I mean, you got to go on and win games. You got to win big games. It starts this weekend against Wake Forest, who, oh, by the way, is undefeated. But then you play Miami, obviously, and hell, at this point, with Wake Forest and Duke being undefeated, these aren't gimmies, I don't suppose. You're on the road. Wallace Wade at night could be a doozy. Who knows?
Maybe that's where they need to go. On the road. Get the hell out of here.
Maybe. But it's Wake this weekend, it's Miami here the following weekend, and Duke followed by Louisville, all of which now are games that you're going to be watching with great intrigue.
I think the hard part is you look at the film of game one with special teams, and then you look at the film of this game, offense and defense, and it seems in the moment that Jimbo is like a handyman in a slapstick era, and it's a dilapidated apartment building. He's just running from place to place, fixing something here.
This,
all right,
yeah.
It's all patched up, then something else goes wrong. He's got to run up the stairs and go fix that. Then he's got to get on the elevator and go down and fix this other thing. And that's true because it's coming from all different angles. It's like, all right, well, the offense looks like it got it together. I'm sure we can get a stop now. Oh, and there's an eye violation from your 12th-year senior, and it's a touchdown because your best player can't make a tackle in open space. All right, well, we got down the field. Let's neutralize the momentum and kick this 30-yard field goal, and he missed it. Well, okay, the kid looks like he settled down. I know he's a true freshman quarterback, and he made a true freshman mistake. Then there's, the false starts. I mean, you could go anywhere. You can go anywhere you want. And it feels like Jimbo has to patchwork this whole thing together. But then you realize he's not the handyman. He's the owner of the building. He hired the people to put the utilities and amenities and the plumbing and the drywall.
And they're failing. And what's difficult in that situation, like, look, you want it fixed now. You wanted it fixed last year. People aren't patient, generally speaking. And I'm guilty of that oftentimes. It doesn't happen overnight, especially if you decide at that moment, all right, I think we have larger issues. I think if I remedy this, other things will follow. We'll be okay. When you make that decision, fine. That's the decision you've made. When it turns out not to be true, well, now you're confronted with that misstep and the reality that you have to do something about it. And that might involve telling people you deeply care about to have a good day. And I think we're not, I'm not privy to that conversation. I don't know what's going on in his mind right now. It just looks like he's swimming. And that doesn't satisfy you, the listener, the fan, the alumnus, the booster. I got it. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. What I'm seeing is a guy who's thinking right now, I got a problem. Because it's one too many times I've got to turn to Dawsey and ask him why his receivers aren't lined up right, and I got to waste a timeout. And it's one too many times I'm watching Coach Kelly's defense not get stops when they're littered with 4- and 5-star studs. It's one too many times, etc. And we can go on with this, and that's not good. Hey, listen, I thought in the first half the offensive line played pretty well, especially given what they were up against. That's a very good front for NC State. But in the second half, they were garbage. So it was the tale of two halves. They didn't play well. But Jimbo, or whomever it was, chose not to chip. They didn't chip Chubb. That kid was wreaking havoc. It seems he said they missed some chips. I don't even know where I went back and watched. I don't know when we were attempting to chip. Maybe they missed signals. I don't know, but
it looked like on maybe a run play in the second half they missed a chip, but even still you might want to put more than a chip on him because nobody else had Chubb as an assignment.
Couldn't block him. And, when I went back, I was at the game, and I watched the game from the press box, and then I watched the second half of the game, part of it from the roof and part of it from the stands. All right, so the point is I was moving all over the place. When I went back and watched the game the next morning, when I was able to stomach going back and watch the game the next morning, I did note that one of the announcers said, and I don't know if this is true because I wasn't in this meeting, but one of the announcers said that when they interviewed Jimbo for the game in their pre-production meetings with the coaches and all that, he said they were going to wear Chubb's ribs out.
Yeah.
And that they were just going to wear him out, implying that they were going to chip and double and do all those things all game long, recognizing what a talent he was. Where the hell was it? I never saw it.
Doran and his staff are criticized and are a punchline for not being able to handle situations.
Coached extremely well in this game.
Yeah. Well, and I can, listen, defensively speaking, I can forgive if they're breaking out all the tricks and there's a double pass and stuff. If things like that happen on weird passes and trick plays, all right, like when they call the option on third down, all right, you're really going to call a speed option? Okay, fine. And they go up 10-0. I can live with that in that moment. It's like, all right, what else you got? You got any more tricks for us? And you would figure at that point you get into the flow of a game. But situations are where a coaching staff rises, and the evidence of what they do Monday through Thursday rises to the top, and the punchline coaching staff outcoached our coaching staff in situations all day long. And that's the damning thing.
It's damning, and it's also something that is what he took the blame for. And this is why I said there's not much more you can say when the coach says, yes, that's true, we're not doing a good job. I wrote down some phrases on my sheet here as I listened to him, both in my interview and in the one he did today. And when he was talking about the big moments of the game, the big plays in the game that cost them, we fit the blocks wrong there. On that play, we didn't execute. Those were costly penalties in the moment. Boy, did that cost us having to use that timeout. He was talking about the misalignment. I wrote 4 or 5 more of these. But as he is saying these things, I'm thinking, well, Coach, what are you describing? You're describing a poorly coached team. And in the moment, that's what you're describing when you say, we didn't fit the blocks there, we didn't execute on this play, we committed a crucial penalty there, we didn't know we got misaligned there, I had to call a timeout, we didn't execute. Well, you're describing that. So now...
we had an eye violation.
Right. Lots of those.
We didn't make tackles.
Yeah. Now, I would just, again, say kudos for owning it. It doesn't make anybody feel better about the loss, but it beats the alternative. Now, I know, again, when you say things like, we just got to execute better, it sounds like you're blaming the players. But if you corral that comment with all of the other times in which he said, we have to help them understand more, we have to better teach this so they execute it, we got to coach better in those situations. I mean, look, when you're 1 for 6 in the red zone, and you can't get in the end zone, and you're currently 127th in the country in drives that end up in your opponent's territory and scoring touchdowns. Well, I mean, these are just facts. This isn't something that you can run from. You have to accept that, and he's doing a good job of that. It beats what he did years ago when we lost to NC State. NC State on the road.
Execution Monday.
Yeah, that was a bad press conference. This one's a guy saying we got to do better. Now, what else is he going to do at this point? He's got to ready that team for a game. And it might just be that the rest of this thing turns in a way that has us changing the narrative a bit. There are many people who hear that right now from me and say, no way in hell. What evidence do you have, Jeff, that suggests this is going to change in the right direction? We're now, 3 losses last year, 3 losses the year before, 2 right out the gates this year. What are you telling me that you think you see that's going to provide the change that's needed? That camp will not be satisfied. Just telling you this as an observation. That camp will not be satisfied until certain coaches are gone. And I'm not so sure today that they're necessarily wrong. I think I may have seen about enough of Mr. Kelly. I mean, you cannot have the kinds of players that he has week in and week out and look, they played great against Alabama, but again, you had a quarterback couldn't throw the football. And a lot of people cautioned in that moment, hey, listen, they were great against the run, against an Alabama team that runs on everybody. They did a good job. Give them credit for that. Let's see how they do when we face a team that can really throw the football.
Yeah, but you're making the case that at best they're inconsistent.
Right, and I think that's
best.
where we're at. Yeah, and that's maddening when you recruit the way Florida State does. When we come back, we'll get to that Jimbo Fisher interview, the Mountain Dew Jimbo Fisher interview. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a a state of mind. Tough like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
You're being awfully quiet. Is that because your mouth feels like the business end of a Dremel saw? Is it because your mouth just wrote a haiku and all 17 syllables were dry heaves? You're so parched. You know it. I know it. The entire radio knows it. Just admit it. You want a Mountain Dew. Your mouth feels like it just inhaled the insides of a punching bag, and the only remedy is that neon green potion. Right now, your mouth could be tongue bathing in the refreshing citrus kick of Mountain Dew. Instead, it feels like you've been motorboating King Tut's sarcophagus. Show some mercy. Crack open an ice cold Mountain Dew. You know your mouth wants you to. Do the Dew.
Nothing quite beats authentic Italian food and a Pepsi. Indulge your taste buds and experience all the flavor of Italy right here in Tallahassee. Visit Urban Food Market today, located in the center of Tallahassee. Urban Food Market, proud to serve Pepsi.
Can't decide between fresh steak, seafood, or wings? Well, Miller's Ale House on Appalachia Parkway has it all. From center-cut sirloin and original pastas to fresh salads and favorites like Miller's Signature Zingers, tossed in your favorite sauce. Miller's Ale House has a full-service bar featuring more than 75 beers, plus wine and liquors. Bring the family to watch the big game inside or on their covered patio on one of over 60 HD TVs. However you come to relax, you will have a good time and great food at Miller's Ale House on Appalachia Parkway.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan. As all of North Florida comes back to business as usual, I want to remind you all of the reasons that this is the best time ever to buy a new Kraft Nissan. Seriously, for 10 more days, we have huge post-storm offers we may never see again. Plus, September is the close of our biggest quarter, and I need your help. Kraft Nissan must sell 78 new Nissans in 10 days, hit our largest dealer bonus ever. And you know me, I believe in sharing that money with you. We hit our number, you save thousands below invoice, we both win. Plus, rebates up to $4,000 on sedans, $9,000 on trucks, 0% interest on most models, Nissan Hurricane Relief money, and no payments for 6 months. Kraft Nissan's Lifetime Warranty Plus. We've added 1 year free maintenance and $1,000 over Kelley Blue Book for your trade. I'm telling you, Kraft Nissan must sell 78 new Nissans by the close of business Monday, October 2nd. We seriously will entertain all offers. So please help us help you save thousands with the final days of Nissan's Hurricane Relief incentives. And remember, Tallahassee is a Nissan town, a Kraft Nissan town. Go to craftnissan.com for details.
You're locked in with the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
All right, welcome back to Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Every Monday we get to talk to the head football coach at Florida State. He's Jimbo Fisher. He's kind enough to join us right now. Coach, disappointing game, obviously, at home, and not the game I think you probably figured your team would play. But obviously there's a lot more football to be played, and this team has to get a lot better. Can you identify, after looking at the film, a couple of things that have to change right now for this team to achieve its goals?
Well, I think, first of all, we had to address the special teams issues, which I thought we did a great job in special teams in this game. I think offensively, just being more disciplined on some situations. Like we had a couple motion penalties where guys were too anxious and got us in some things, and then we got to finish in the red zone. Third down was decent. We got to get a little bit better there. Continue to run the football, which we had great balance, and then we did 2 minutes before the half, and then we got down 2 scores, but wanted to keep balance, which I thought we ran the football. We threw the ball down the field and deep ball as well. We got to clean up the red zone. We had opportunities down there. We got to be physical and run it, and also convert on some passes and some little screen blocking outside in those RPOs that were really big that we missed a couple that could have been huge. And then defensively, give up some 3rd and 7 or more. Give up 4 of those, which we, one we didn't have good coverage. The other 2 were off screen type things that we should have had played, and then get a little faster start. And then we give up the one big play before half. We violated right there before half, and then at the end couldn't get the stop, which in the run game, which is disappointing because at times on both sides we did some good things. We moved the ball. The young freshman did. We ran the ball. We got to finish drives, and it's not as far as we think, but at the same time it is if you're not willing to make those little adjustments. And we got to keep fighting for the inches, and we got to do a better job as a staff of just coaching those guys and getting them to play better.
Was there? You mentioned the red zone, and that's the one glaring area really for anybody watching this game. And I know you pride yourself on working those things, and there have been plenty of seasons where Florida State's been great in the red zone. Obviously, 1 of 6 is not the number you want to see. Was there a pattern, or was it varied?
Varied. If you miss a block on a run, bubble screen or an RPO out there, we should be and man push one and take 2 blocks. We could walk in. We do it other times we didn't then. Throw a little protection. Guy didn't run the route like we're supposed to. Whatever. I mean, just little things that you look at one guy and they say, well, he played a pretty good game, but he had those 2 things. But those 2 things in those games are things that cost you. You know what I'm saying? Nobody like they're terrible, but at the same time, all those things magnify when you're playing good people and they're very tight games, and you got to do them better. I can say we had 1 touchdown. He made a great throw in the drive down there, and then the other ones we had opportunities. We just didn't get them in, whether we ran it or whatever, and we got to do a better job.
Well, let's talk about James Blackman. That was the big question coming in. Obviously, you get put in a situation that nobody wants to have to deal with, where you lose a quarterback for the year in the first game of the season, and then you have the oddity of the delay. A lot of people wondered how he would play. At least with the naked eye, Coach, it looked like he played pretty well. I know you've had the ability to go back and look at the film. How did he play?
He played pretty well. I mean, you go back. There's some things he'd like to have back. He bobbled a snap there one time. He got anxious and wanted to make a throw. He had a one-on-one. But he had the presence to pick it up and at least get rid of it. He's got a lot of poise and presence. Had a great 2-minute drive before the half. It got us back in the game. Hit some great deep balls in the second half. We were running at the end of the first half, and we had him there. And all of a sudden, they gave us the opportunity for the deep ball, and he saw the matchups and went straight to him on his own. And, I mean, made the throws, made the reads and things we had taught him about, and was very confident in that regard. And scrambled well. And unfortunately, had the one error on the fumble, which is an inch from – he makes the right play. They cover it. He scrambles out, gets played, makes it and goes to slide down, and unfortunately, just an inch before his knee hits the ground, I guess I couldn't see everything, and that he fumbled it. But at the same time, I thought a lot of poise and pressure, composure, could come back off the field and tell you what was going on, why it happened, why it didn't happen. Was pleased, and again, he's hard on himself. But I thought for the first game against the opponent he made a lot of throws, a lot of RPO throws, got the ball out in space for us, a real good job. Did a really nice job in the game. And, there's obviously a lot of areas of improvement, but, I mean, that was a pretty good first performance.
Yeah, and he had something really special brewing with Auden Tate before the injury. Wow. That was going to that was a career day for Auden, obviously, and he was well on his way to putting up huge numbers. Is he all right? What's the injury situation?
Well, it'd be day to day. I mean, it's something he'll definitely be back. I don't think it's not out for the year or anything like that, but it could be back really soon. It's just a matter of how it heals right here quickly. But it's still too early to tell yet.
Had a lot of guys go down. Are you day to day with all these guys? I don't want to go through every one of them.
Thomas was another big one for us right there. When we lost him early, he actually, when he come through and got that holding call, the center grabbed him and he was extended out, and you see him twist, and it threw his lower back messed up. But I think it's something that as the day they couldn't, it spasmed up and locked completely up on him. But I think he should be okay here in another day or two. Hopefully they get some meds in him and different things and get it loosened up. But that was another one. Most everybody's day to day. Nothing that I think that was guys all should be back from.
I know it's frustrating. We can all see you when you have to call a timeout because of receiver misalignment or whatever it might be.
Two of them cost us now.
Yeah, I looking at that, Coach, people do want to know. I got to ask you, what happens when that's going on? Why do we have that? I think people think of that as it's maddening.
It was simple. Just missed a signal. Didn't get lined up. I mean, had a signal and saw one thing and it was actually another. I mean, just completely missed the signals. Now, I mean, it wasn't brain surgery. It wasn't anything they did on right. They just read the wrong thing. When a guy gave the hand, the signal's out, which we do every day in practice. And again, I don't think they did it on purpose. They just saw the wrong formation and the wrong alignment and in the signal and lined up that way. And we saw it and had to use the timeout, which hurt us at the end of the game. I mean, it was as crazy. It's as simple as that. It's something we do on every play, every day. And I'm not blaming them. We got to signal better. We got to just make sure we do it better.
Is that nerves or is that them pressing?
I don't know. It's called being a human being and out there in the game. I mean, and you get guys, some of it's young guys, trying to get lined up and play. And you want to play all those young guys. That's what people understand. I mean, you want to play all those young guys. It's great. But there's a lot of things that go into with playing and playing at a high level. I mean, and do things. And it's, again, they don't do it on purpose. Again, I don't blame. We got to do a better job of that. But, I mean, it's that simple. There's no other answer. There's nothing else to say about it.
Another guy that shows signs of being great and then turns around and has a mistake and can be frustrating is Cam Akers. I guess assess his play up through these first couple of games. He's a true freshman.
Getting better and better, very good with the ball. He had to, the one short yardage run, he should have stuck up in there and really made a nice run. Got us in the 4th and 3 there, but otherwise he had some nice, he broke a zone play all the way back on the backside. He had a stretch play, had some really nice runs up inside. I mean, he's doing a nice job. I mean, he really is. And he's evolving into the player he is. He's a true freshman. He's played 2 games. And, about where we thought he would be. You remember Dalvin hadn't even played that much at this time.
Right, sure.
I mean, we go on that and we keep forgetting about these guys out of high school, but I mean, he's doing a nice job. He's developing. Jacquez had a nice game in the deal, but Cam's developing very nicely. It's just, he's a true freshman.
It appeared, at least at first glance, and I always like to pick your brain immediately after so you can tell me what the film tells you, that NC State really took advantage offensively of us defensively being, well, I guess I'll just call it soft underneath. They kept finding open guys underneath, really didn't hurt us too much down the football field. In retrospect, was that too soft a cushion?
Well, it was at times, but other times, guys were on, they made plays, and then the zone plays on the third down plays, we were in good zone, we just matched it, and then we didn't get off the blocks. But that's the way they throw the ball. Did nothing that we expect any different. Guys had to play them a little tighter, which we were planning on doing and trying to do. And they got a couple balls in there and made plays. And then the other two, they had a couple hit a couple of I violated there a couple times.
What's the locker room like, Coach? Obviously, I know you're a guy that likes to grind and a guy that goes back to work and likes to fix problems, but kids can be emotional and suffer from the whims of emotion. 0-2 is certainly where nobody thought this team would be. How's the locker room?
Good. Actually, we were honest with them afterwards, and I took blame. It's my side. It's my fault. I got to put you in a better position, and we got to coach and play better, and that's what we'll do. It wasn't bad. Very disappointing. They know it. They're no more. Listen, no one in the world is more disappointed than they are and we are. And where we're at, but also understand how to fix it. And they got to stay off, quit listening to talk shows and social media. Everybody does their job. And I joke about that, but it's true. Hey, they got to lock down and go take and control and play, and don't let their self, who they are as a player and believe in. Listen, they're the same great players we had here. We'll coach them, we'll get good, and go one game at a time and play and get back in it. And I know that sounds crazy, but that's what's got to happen. And then you get on a roll and play. But we got to get there. And then. And people, you find out what you're made of right now. You find out who you can trust and your brothers are, and I think they'll all do that. I think our kids were really good afterwards, and like I say, disappointed, but they understand and believe in what we're doing, and we'll battle back.
Coach, I always appreciate your time. Best of luck moving forward. We'll talk again next week.
Thank you, Jeff.
All right, take care.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
The right candidates. Screener questions help you zero in on the best talent, while sort and filter tools keep your recruitment organized. It's no surprise an independent study shows there are 5 times more hires made through Indeed than any other job site, more hires than the rest combined. And right now we're giving new users a $50 credit to post a sponsored job, boosting your listing in relevant search results and helping you find qualified candidates faster. Claim your $50 credit at Indeed.com/credit. That's Indeed.com/credit. Indeed, the world's #1 job site. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
Sports are defined by stats and performance, but here's a performance stat that no one wants to talk about. Erectile dysfunction affects half of all men over 40. That's 50%. If you're struggling with ED and other therapies haven't worked, isn't it time to feel like yourself again? Learn about a long-lasting ED solution from Coloplast to get back in the game. Visit Dr. DeLay at Advanced Urology Institute, located at 2000 Centerpoint Boulevard, or call their office and set up an appointment today. 850-702-0894. The sooner you seek treatment, the sooner you can get back to feeling like your normal self. That's 850-702-0894.
The big game is almost here, but you can't afford to go because ticket prices are through the roof. Don't worry, we got your back. Anytix.com offers you the lowest price tickets, guaranteed. Anytix.com doesn't mark up tickets. Anytix.com has zero. That's right, no buyer, seller, or service fees. For a small monthly fee of $9.99, you get access to all their wholesale tickets. Go to Anytix.com today. That's Anytix, T-I-X-X. Enter the coupon code ESPN Tally and get 20% off your subscription. Anytix.com, changing the way you buy tickets. Do you want the cleanest used car, truck, or SUV at the lowest price? FranksAutoWorld.com. How has Frank's Auto World become Tallahassee's fastest growing used car dealer? Simple. Frank carries up to 70 of the cleanest used cars, trucks, and SUVs, then prices them on the internet lower than the competition. Think I'm kidding? Type in FranksAutoWorld.com on your smartphone, iPad, or desktop. Get multiple pictures and even a free Carfax of each vehicle and a rating by Car Guru showing you the price is a good deal. FranksAutoWorld.com.
It's been called shell shock, war neurosis, and battle fatigue. Today, we call it post-traumatic stress disorder, and it affects 1 out of every 5 warriors returning from battle in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Wounded Warrior Project offers comfort and support for warriors with PTSD and all other scars of war, whether those scars are visible or hidden. Find out how to help, because for warriors, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. Please visit woundedwarriorproject.org.
We alarm our houses, and we alarm our cars. But when it comes to your personal information, it can be tough to know when something isn't right. That's where Discover Card can help. Now, we'll send you an alert if we find your Social Security number on any one of thousands of risky websites. And this service is free for card members. Just sign up online. It's our way of looking out for you, not just your account. Learn more at discover.com/free alerts. Limitations apply.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. At this hour, Cavaliers point guard Isaiah Thomas has made progress with his hip injury, and the team expects him to play by January. Cavs have emerged as the favorite to land Dwayne Wade after he agreed to a buyout with the Bulls, reports ESPN. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell said he's proud of the league after watching what happened yesterday. Goodell told the Monday Morning Quarterback the demonstrations of protest reflected the frustration, disappointment of the players over the divisive rhetoric from President Trump regarding those who kneel during the national anthem. Week 3 finishes up with the Cowboys hosting the Cardinals on Monday Night Football. Coverage at 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN.
Time to upgrade your wardrobe with CT Shirts, the most exquisitely crafted, British-styled, crease-free shirts I've ever worn. One CT shirt normally costs $100. I got you 3 shirts for just $99. Go to ctshirts.com/ESPN. ctshirts.com/ESPN.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stopping at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
With me every Sunday evening, that's the Mountain Dew Jimbo Fisher interview, and you'll get it next week as well after Florida State finishes the game against Wake Forest. Some things to clean up here. First of all, Miami, the game against the Canes is not a night game because we're not any good, so they moved it to 3:30, and that's most unfortunate.
That's the first time since 2011 that the game has not been in prime time, and you know what crew called that game. I'm talking officiating. That would be the Flanagan crew.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. And then, it'll be interesting, Tom, for all of the talk before the season about the fun games that would allow for the bloodlust and the revenge tour to take place. Louisville was on that list too. We thought being a game potentially could be at night. Gonna have to win these games. A game for starters. But then from there, going to have to win these games if you want that to happen.
It's funny when you bring up the idea of maybe you want to press the receivers and then give less space underneath because that's exactly what they want to do. When McFadden challenged the first pass of the game, I thought, all right.
There we go. We're going to take away the nonsense.
Play some man's football up at the line of scrimmage today.
No, we're not going to do that.
I was like, really?
Not going to do that
one
at all.
of 3 times the entire day.
Chris writes via email 2 questions. Are we destined to repeat the path of Oklahoma football following their 2000 title? Ton of talent year in and year out. Pretty consistently losing at least 1 game per season that you shouldn't, and never really being true contenders. Well, I would argue, Chris, was true contenders. They subsequently got back to national championship games, in fact, but didn't win one after that one against Florida State in the Orange Bowl. Just in general, doing less with more, writes Chris. Should we be content with that, given the plight of recent programs like Nebraska or Tennessee, for example, who decided 10 wins a year was not enough? No, I don't think so. I think what's going on at Nebraska is a little bit different. And Tennessee, frankly, has really never shined any time that unless Florida was down, unless Alabama was down, you're not seeing them consistently be the class of a conference when the other programs were operating at peak efficiency. Florida State has been the preeminent program of the ACC and for a very long time was once they entered the conference. And only recently has Clemson now surpassed that. Of course, we had the lost decade. I understand that's when in Wake Forest and Boston College and certainly Virginia Tech utilize those opportunities to shine as programs who are second tier, in some cases third and fourth tier, should when the powers are down. Florida State is a power, and it's not obviously devoid of bad seasons or stretches of time where you look back and go, boy, what happened there? There were 4 or 5 seasons, 6, 7, 8 seasons where you think, goodness, that's not good enough. No, I don't know to answer the big question there whether or not we should be satisfied. Listen, you've got to reach your potential. I think that's the big thing. If you lose a game to Alabama, people can understand that. Alabama recruits better than Florida State does. Alabama has larger staff than Florida State does, more investment, infrastructure, etc. They're a power right now that most people are losing to. And when that happens, you kind of say, well, men are matched today. Hopefully we'll catch them at a time where, I don't know, we have a senior-laden team or something along those lines, and you get your revenge. But when you lose to the NC States of the world or teams that aren't as talented, that's when the question of coaching comes up. That's when people get very angry. And I understand that. I get that you're not always going to be on top, and I can live with that. What I don't like is if you lose to teams who have inferior talent.
Yeah, and if you just knew the storyline of what was going on here in Tallahassee on Saturday, given the long layoff and that's a true freshman quarterback, and you saw the score, you'd say, quarterback must have played poorly. The hard part is that's not true. So if he threw 4 picks, and we just had no chance on offense to establish anything identity-wise, you'd say, that really sucks because NC State could have been gotten here this week easily, but the quarterback, he just wasn't ready. Problem was he made a lot of big throws. He made a lot of big plays after those first 2 drives. What was it? He had on 8 straight, 9 straight?
Yeah, he really settled down and played pretty well.
I thought his emotions, of course, they're going to be crazy in his first career start.
Well, we were up against it late, and he's having to throw a lot, and they know it's coming, and they've pinned in their ears, and he kind of skipped a couple balls and made some throws where you're like, uh-oh. But that was the only time you really saw him look like a skittish true freshman.
Right. That he wore it on his sleeve, to me, I just was worried that he was going to be tuckered out by the end of the game.
Sure.
But then, the hard part is in the second half, and they did this even in the first half a little bit too towards the end. It was clear Doran wanted to shorten the game. It was clear that he was trying to shorten the game because he knew you play another quarter or two and eventually the talent
wins out.
Well, it has to eventually, even though we're shooting ourselves in the foot from every different angle. But it's the first downs. It's the key first downs that they get. Even their first scoring drive, you had a screen pass on 3rd and forever. That just set the tone for the day. That ended up being an indicator of what you were going to get all day long, which is, all right, big play here, Knowles. We need you, offense or defense. and they didn't come through. 4th and goal, 3rd and long.
Well, the defense certainly had more than their fair share of moments in which they didn't carry the day in critical moments of the game where you needed to get the ball back for your offense. And it includes the end of the game on a 3rd and 7 sweep off tackle. I mean, that's somebody goes inside that's supposed to go outside. I don't know if it's Derwin in this situation, but I don't know what the assignment was. I just know that can't happen. And we find ourselves in situations far too often saying about this defense, well, that can't happen. I mean, we just do. And one of the things that's frustrating is, to me, sometimes you see too much, I said it earlier, apprehension. You're talking about a defense that's littered with talent that always seems to be thinking and not playing. You have, back on their heels often, like they're afraid of making a mistake. And there's a lost in translation element to what's going on sometimes on offense and defense that really frustrates us, I think, as viewers. When you watch this team, there's a sense that, not everybody's real sure what they're supposed to do, and that leaves you wondering, well, what are we doing in practice in the 3 weeks that led up to this game? 16 days that you had to – what are we doing?
Yeah, it's not like we missed 10 days of practice because of the weather.
Right. It's just we
weren't playing games.
You watch that and you say, well, why did – Coach Fisher told me in that interview a moment ago, well, it's just a missed signal. Well, for 10 years? I mean, we've been missing signals. Dossie's group misses signals like it's their job to miss signals. I mean, it's remarkable. And I would just think at some point, especially if you believe you've got the right play call for the moment, and you're the head coach, you're the offensive coordinator, you're the former quarterback coach, all those things, you got to play, and you like that play, and you're ready to run that play, but you guys can't get lined up, and now I got to burn a timeout, and that's going to come back to haunt me, and is an indicator oftentimes of teams that are certainly not on the same page, and when we see it from other programs and other teams, we go, wow, that guy. When we see it from Butch Jones at Tennessee, we say, that's not a real well-coached team. And he knows that. Coach Fisher knows that. When he's watching that film and he's going back over those situations, he talks about situations all the time. And when he talks about those situations and where they didn't come through, it's got to irk him to no end. Now, the question is, what are you going to do about it? We may have reached a place where push has come to shove, is my point. He's going nowhere. This isn't that conversation. This isn't the conversation we're having. Coach Fisher's going nowhere. So the pressure that's put on him now is pressure he'll put on himself and pressure he'll have to put on his staff or changes that he'll have to make. And the only way that happens is if his frustration with segments and coaches boils over to the point where he realizes, you know what, I can be as loyal as I want to be. I can like a guy as much as I want to like a guy. I can think that it's any number of other things that are going on, but in truth, this is consistently happening, and it's costing us games against teams that we're more talented than. And I know, obviously it's reflected in his record, that that's unacceptable. Well, at that point, that's where, if you routinely made mistakes producing this show every day, I love you dearly. At some point, I would say, Tom, how many times are you going to do that? And I would replace you. And you would replace the people that are on, you know what I'm saying? I mean, this is how it works.
Right. You can only say, and I'm being you for a moment,
right.
You can only say, Tom, you're making me look like an a-hole.
Right.
Before you actually are one for not making the change. You know what I'm saying?
It starts to reflect poorly on you to a place. At some point, they say, well, I'm done with it. For years, and we're not even anywhere close to this, but for years, I would go on and on about Jeff Bowden, and this is not that situation, but I would go on and on about Jeff Bowden until one day I woke up and said, I'm not going to do this anymore about Jeff Bowden. Because we all know this. So who's the guy that is responsible for telling him to have a good day? And we shifted blame to the head coach. So when a person reaches that point, well, it differs for everybody. But it certainly happens when you lose games that you're heavily favored to win.
Okay, so at what point does the conversation, fall squarely at Jimbo Fisher's feet for the staff that has not seen changes?
Right. Well,
in a lot of key areas that folks are criticizing. I mean, they're not just criticizing; they're just like frothing at the mouth.
Well, there's
for
nothing
years.
he can do about it right now.
Of course.
So you're going to play out the rest of this year. Let's see how the games play out.
Yeah, but if they play well down the stretch, what are you going to do? The whole same song and dance again? Well, they got it together.
I have an opinion about what I would do.
Yeah.
I just hinted at the fact that I didn't hint at all. I said I'm about done with Charles Kelly, and I like Charles Kelly, and I think it's a shame because I think his acumen and knowledge of the game is very, very good. there's the lost in translation element of what I'm talking about here. I don't think that a lot of these guys don't know what they're doing, but for some reason that message and the execution of the game plan and whatever it is that's being taught on a daily basis isn't as consistent as it needs to be. You'll find a game where you come out of that game and you say, you know what, okay, looks like they're getting it together. And then just as soon as you feel good about it, boom, you get evidence that it's not there. And that kind of inconsistency with that kind of talent, you marry those two, and it's a fair criticism, and I would think that Jimbo's looking at that very closely. Now, look, they may go on to win the rest of their games. Right about now, I wouldn't predict that. Ooh. I would not predict that.
Let's just win a game.
Well, right. I'm not predicting that. I'm just saying they could. Let's see what happens. It shapes the conversation weekly. Hour number 2, forthcoming. Ira Shafel, WarChant.com will join us next. Stay tuned.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Called shell shock, war neurosis, and battle fatigue. Today, we call it post-traumatic stress disorder, and it affects 1 out of every 5 warriors returning from battle in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Wounded Warrior Project offers comfort and support for warriors with PTSD and all other scars of war, whether those scars are visible or hidden. Find out how to help, because for warriors, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. Please visit woundedwarriorproject.org.
Attention all business owners, it's here. 97.9 ESPN Radio has developed the Triple Play, Tallahassee's most effective advertising campaign. The Triple Play combines radio, TV, and the internet, and it's brought to you only by Tallahassee's #1 sports station.
Hi, I'm Travis Kelly, account executive here at 97.9 ESPN Radio. Call me at 561-8400 right now to find out more about the Triple Play advertising campaign and begin growing your business. It's football season. Everybody's listening. Call me, Travis Kelly, at 561-8400 to partner your business with Tallahassee Sports Master.
Miller's Tree Service, we go out on a limb for you.
Hey, this is Clay Culpepper with Miller's Tree Service. Summertime is here and storm season is right around the corner. We offer free consultations with a certified arborist where we meet with you and advise you on which trees are healthy, diseased, dead, or ones that may need trimming or even removal.
Miller's Tree Service, we go out on a limb for you.
Give us a call at 894-TREE.
Don't just listen to The Jeff Cameron Show. Watch it live. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Live weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Head to ESPNTallahassee.com today to watch live or catch up on demand. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Brought to you by Nice Tire and Auto, your trusted Goodyear dealer. 574-4100. And presented by TNT Supercenter in Thomasville, Georgia. And Franklin Spring Creek Ford.
Contact your local CenturyLink retail store to enter for a chance to win the CenturyLink Ultimate Football Fan Experience, which includes a trip to the biggest game of the year. For eligibility and official rules, go to CenturyLinkFanForLife.com/FAQ. CenturyLink, your link to what's next.
Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. At this hour, Cavaliers point guard Isaiah Thomas has made progress with his hip injury, and the team expects him to play by January. Cavs have emerged as the favorite to land Dwayne Wade after he agreed to a buyout with the Bulls, reports ESPN. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell said he's proud of the league after watching what happened yesterday. Goodell told the Monday Morning Quarterback the demonstrations of protest reflected the frustration, disappointment of the players over the divisive rhetoric from President Trump regarding those who kneel during the national anthem. Week 3 finishes up with the Cowboys hosting the Cardinals on Monday Night Football. Coverage at 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN.
Time to upgrade your wardrobe with CT Shirts, the most exquisitely crafted British-styled crease-free shirts I've ever worn. One CT shirt normally costs $100. I got you 3 shirts for just $99. Go to ctshirts.com/ESPN. ctshirts.com/ESPN.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stopping at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Good Monday. Hello, I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. You want to email us? Many of you have. JCS at 979ESPNradio.com. Find me on Twitter at JCameronShow. WTSM app, good for your mobile devices. And if you want to watch on YouTube, hello, I'm sipping some delicious cold coffee right now.
It's really strong. Look how much I've had now. I've already got the jitters.
Well, you don't have the tolerance that your boy has here. You got to go easy.
I do feel shaky.
Oh, it's tasty though, huh?
It's very good.
Yeah, I thought so. All right. Let's get to our good buddy, Ira Shafel, warchant.com, the website. Hello, Ira. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just trying to digest this 14-8 over the last 22, 11-6 in the conference post-Jameis era of Florida State football. And
we're back to doing these. We're back to doing these.
Well,
lists,
yeah.
I guess
it's not a very good sign. Never a good sign when you're able to kind of look back and pinpoint a number of losses that are frustrating. Okay, so let's go really big picture here. There's enough to poke, enough stuff that you can say, boy, that's not good and that's not good. I want to ask you, I thought it was interesting. You know, I talked to Jimbo last night, and I watched today's press conference. He looks like a guy, I said in the first hour, that he looks like a guy who, while answering questions, kind of is in his own head, is really, really kind of, it's around and around and around. You know, he by his own answers is recognizing that they're doing some things poorly as a coaching staff, and he's owning that. And I'll give him credit for that. But you know, that's got to be a frustrating place to be because there are emotions tied to that. There are friendships. There are any number of things that are tied to that. And I don't know if you see it the same way, but I do think he's having to confront some real issues with his staff because the same kind of problems that plagued them a year ago are plaguing them again now.
Yeah, you know, it's hard to, you know, I think in a situation like that, I think, you know, he does have a lot on his mind because I think he's, A, trying to figure out what exactly is going wrong, where have they gone wrong, and then B, how can he say what he wants to say without saying what he doesn't want to say.
Right. He's trying to be sensitive,
Yeah, he's constantly trying to play that game, and so at the same time not give in. You know, he doesn't want to feed the frenzy, and that, and I think that's where these things are so difficult. Is the fans are always mad at the answers. They're mad at the questions. They feel like we should hold an interrogation and get him to confess. That's the only thing I think that they want is to confess. Okay, I did a bad job. These coaches did a bad job. That's why we lost. And first of all, that's not how he sees it. And even if he did see it that way, that's not what he's ever going to say. So, these things are always going to be frustrating, I think, for the fans because they're never going to be happy with the answers. And at the same time, like you said, I think he does have to confront some real issues. But, to be honest, though, I asked him if some of the problems defensively were same things we saw last year, and he said he didn't think so, which I disagree with. I thought the defensive backs were not very physical. They didn't set the edge at times, I thought. The screenplay, the third long where they hit the screen right off the bat, I thought the defensive backs, clearly didn't do a good job there. And then the last play is just crazy where it looks like they think NC State's going to pass. Derwin James is rushing upfield. Levante Taylor's chasing his receiver 20 yards downfield. It's just there are so many things that are done poorly from I'll give it, granted, some of that's on the players, but, we go back to the same thing every time. It's, you can't fire the players. You have coaches who are making a lot of money, and these guys are not performing.
I went in and obviously last night did my interview with him here in the studio, and then listened to today's interview and questions you guys asked there very carefully. And I think if you kind of vet that, parse through that, he does admit that they're not doing a good job. He talked about a lack of execution, committing key penalties in crucial situations, fitting blocks wrong defensively. He admitted to the misalignments.
How does that satisfy anybody?
Well,
on defense, you have a team that returned everybody and a lot of the backups who had played a ton, and stuff's still not getting done. I don't know what admitting that the plays weren't executed well doesn't, what is that? Okay, great.
Well, no, what I'm saying is he's telling you, and I don't mean you specifically. I mean, he's telling us that he knows they're not coached well. And no, it doesn't change the result, and it doesn't provide a level of satisfaction for Florida State fans that just watch their team lose at home and look ill-prepared to play. But short of him coming out and saying, I'm going to fire these coaches, I don't know what else he can say, right? I mean, that's my point.
The problem is, the track record is that he doesn't fire coaches. And the track record is, for example, the offense, and I'm not trying to bury this team right now. I think this could be a really good team. I don't think they're that far off. I think there were everything they needed to. They just needed one or two things to go right this weekend, and none of them did. So I'm starting with the officiating to some bang plays to whether or not Blackman's knee is down or it's not down. The first
play in the
touchdown
game.
The first touchdown, is he in? Is he not in? The interception gets waved off. I mean, there are so many things that if they just got one or two of those things, but none of them went their way. So I don't think this team is awful, and I don't think this team should be left for dead. But at the same time, you think back to 2012, 2011, when people were so mad about the offensive line, and then they win the national title, and then it's all of a sudden it's the coaching staff is crowing about, we didn't know how to coach offensive line, and we didn't know how to play call. We just won a national title. Well, so now here you are 3 years later, and you want people to believe that he's going to address these issues at some point, but they feel like, man, these are some of the same issues we saw, a few years ago, and you didn't address them. You just waited for things to get better, and maybe that's the right approach. But I just don't know that anybody's buying. If you're trying to say that he knows there's problems and he'll make changes, I don't know that there's any evidence to fans to say, okay, I believe that's going to happen.
Well, all I know is that it sure beats the kind of excuse making performance after the road NC State loss that year, where EJ and company. I'm saying it gets weird because when a coach says we've got to coach them better, we have to do a better job. For those that want us doing the interview or asking the questions to push further, well, it's you're rendered at that point kind of speechless. What can you ask him after he admits they're not coached well? I mean, there's not. It's you want to get him to admit that some things are wrong, and then when he does, I mean, it's not our job to persecute him. You know what I mean? I don't.
Well, yeah, and they're nothing, and he did, like you said, he admitted there were problems. But on some questions, he doesn't want to talk big picture. But I think you have to kind of look at big picture right now. And I asked him, do you even consider the fact that from a big picture standpoint now, and every year is different. I understand that, but this is 3 years in a row now. You're not going to be in the ACC race. Now, I'm not saying they're out of the ACC race. I wouldn't be shocked if Clemson lost a couple games. Louisville's already got a loss. I mean, it's not like there's no chance, but you're having to expect now FSU's going to have to win that game at Clemson. They're going to have to beat Louisville. They're going to have to run the table. So the odds are very long. And so at what point does he look at the big picture and say, okay, are we not doing what we're supposed to be doing? Where are we going wrong here? And he wouldn't even address that. He just said, we just got to coach better. We got to worry about Wake Forest. Well, okay. But, the reality is the fans are looking, at the big picture.
And I agree with the fans that are pissed. I agree and have said that, look, at some point you just have to admit, Jimbo has to admit, I know how loyal he is, he has to admit they're doing less with more. And when that's the case, you either fire somebody or reassign somebody. But, I mean, there's no doubt you can't look out at that defense and see all of the 4- and 5-star talent not getting the job done and being wildly inconsistent from year to year and not think to yourself, if you're a head coach, well, this is a freaking problem. I want to be loyal to this guy. I think he knows what he's doing, but clearly we're giving up big plays in crucial moments. We can't get off the field on third down. We don't make stops. We're soft in our underneath coverage, which is exactly what NC State was going to take advantage of and did. I'm in total agreement with you. I'm just speaking to the people who say hey, hold him accountable. What can you do once he says he knows that they have problems they have to fix and that's on them as coaches? What else can you do? I mean, you're just beating a dead horse at that point.
Oh, I agree, and and ultimately, it's either going to get better or it's going to get worse, and but the problem is right now, they're looking at a season where now you've lost one of the really winnable games you thought you had, and if the defense doesn't play a whole lot better, I mean, there's 4 or 5 games they could lose on the schedule.
Sure.
I'm not predicting they're going to lose 6 or 7 games, but suddenly I thought there was no way Miami could win here with a first-year quarterback, the way FSU's defense was going to be playing this year. But the way they played on Saturday, yeah, Miami could come in here and win. Why couldn't they? And then you look at Louisville. I thought, again, Louisville coming here this year, the result would be totally different. I'll tell you what, if Florida State's defense played the way it did Saturday, Louisville would have scored 50 or more again. There was nothing. NC State's offense was not great. I mean, that quarterback's very accurate. They're good at what they do. But the defense, to let them go up and down the field the first 2 drives was ridiculous. And then to be able to stall it away at the end, it's good. They show stretches where they play pretty well, but they're not consistent. And against a good offense, they're going to have big trouble. They have so many guys have to get better. And the other thing is, and I'm sure we could talk about this at some other point, maybe on headlines, but again, they're playing some young guys that clearly aren't ready. But you have so many defensive backs, why are you playing these young guys who maybe aren't ready yet? So there's a lot of questions about what they're doing.
Yeah, and I think any time that fans watch that kind of inconsistent play despite the highly rated recruiting classes and they see losses to teams with inferior talent, and then you hear the coach admit that they're committing penalties in crucial situations that they shouldn't commit, and that, hey, we coach it, we go over these details every day, you just scream from the mountaintops, well, it's not working. It's not, when I heard him say, when I asked him, Coach, you had to burn 2 of your 6 timeouts because of receiver misalignment, and he said, boy, did that really cost us.
I mean,
that's a toughie. That's yes, and that's been going on a decade.
And that's the thing. It was funny when Doran's calling 3 timeouts to ice Aguayo at halftime. I thought, this guy's a jerk. Man, just let the kid kick it. He's gonna, after you've done it once or twice, I think you've proven your point. And I was thinking, man, Jimbo, if he ever had 3 timeouts,
he would know what to do if he had 3 timeouts at the end of the half. He burns 2 of them in the first 4 minutes of every game because the receivers are clueless. Yeah, it's frustrating. I mean, And, you're at a point, it's only a couple of games in, but when you're 108th in the sack rate allowed, 98th in penalties per game, 123rd in points in drives in which you enter your opponent's territory, 127th in red zone touchdowns. I mean, sweet Jesus. Those are god-awful numbers.
And they're not, and if somebody's who hasn't looked up those numbers is saying, well, we've only played 2 games. Well, no, that's, those are percentages. That's based on the number of times they've been in the red zone, the percentages, and also, so and they're just not playing well, and I think that again in that game, I understand, and I try to write in my column, and I wasn't saying that Jimbo is making excuses. I was just saying that they had a lot of things working against them in that game, from the officiating to the first-year quarterback. I also think all that extra time, I think, probably wasn't great for James Blackman and for Jimbo, because I think they needed to kind of see him in a little bit. The ULM game would have been perfect for him, and it just didn't happen. And I just think that if they could have, there's so many things that if one of those things had gone right, I think things might have been different, but they didn't. And you lose the game, and now again, you look at Wake Forest. This is I don't expect them to lose at Wake Forest, but they haven't played well against them the last 2 years, and that was.
Well, let me tell you something. I understand Wake Forest is 4-0. If anybody's watched Wake Forest, if Florida State goes and loses to Wake Forest, then yes.
You're done?
Well, yes, that's it. I mean, at that point, you would say, and we'll have to see how it plays out and why it would be, but, man, somebody has to get fired. I mean, you can't. That's crazy. You can't go 0-3 to start the year with this talent and lose to Wake Forest. No.
I'm curious, the biggest thing I want to see is just, look, Jimbo has done a great job in the past, time and time again, of when you think that, okay, he may lose the team or that they're going to have issues in the locker room, whatever it is, they always turn it around. He finds a way. We can laugh at the motives or the different methods or messages he uses,
but
he's always found a way to get it done. So I think you will hear, and there's no doubt to me that this team is still really good and can be really good and can turn it around. But I think that to me that's the biggest question is right now. How are these guys mentally? Because after the game, man, the frustration on the field from FSU's players, and I heard some of the comments from them walking off the field and things like that, it was frustration, you would hear in years past when things weren't going well, not just, man, we lost that game, they played better, whatever. It's a frustration of why isn't this working?
Players expect to win when they come to Florida State. They're superstar players that come here and expect that they're going to win games. And when they don't win games or they're confused out on the field and they're getting, burnt in certain situations, frequently, they feel like they're being let down by coaches. They won't say that, but I'm sure that's what they're thinking. I would be.
And so now again, this is where it's like this season's been tough, man. I mean, I'm not making excuses, but this is a year where this has been tough for Jimbo. I mean, you come into the year, you've got the Alabama game, you lose it, you lose DeAndre, then you have the storm and this long delay, and now you've got to coach that. Like he admitted last week, this was before the loss, he admitted last week that it has been a challenge getting guys focused and motivated during those 3 weeks because it's just not normal. It's not normal to practice for a month, play one game, and then have 3 more weeks off. So, I think that was a challenge. Now you're 0-2. He's got to face that challenge. Plus, again, he's still got this first-time quarterback. So, I mean, this is a difficult situation. It's not as if everything's gone right and his team's just falling apart. They have had challenges. You got to recognize that. But at the same time, look, man, you're the CEO of a big company. You've got to overcome it.
This will be the one and only time that I do this on the show today. I might make a passing maybe a cursory glance at it later in the show. But I want to do it here because you mentioned it twice, and you're not wrong at all. And it's not the reason, but it certainly didn't help. You can tell from today's press conference, I can tell from talking to him last night, man, they've got some serious issues with that crew, with that officiating crew.
What's funny about it, it seemed like it had gotten better, though, didn't it? Like, it used to be terrible. Like, a few years ago, they had major problems with Flanagan's crew.
Well, yeah.
And it seemed like things had kind of calmed down, and they weren't really even objecting to having them. So when I saw him on the field before the game, I kind of thought, I think they're kind of over it. And then, that game was, and you know what it reminded me of a lot? It was like the Cromartie game down in Gainesville in 2003 when there were a couple of bad calls. There were definitely a couple of bad calls that really hurt FSU in this game. But there were a bunch of other close calls that could have gone probably either way.
Yeah.
But they all went against FSU.
None of them went the way of Florida State. And listen, after a game like this where there's enough, mistakes you can shake a stick at, you don't want to fall back on officiating. And I hate doing that on my show anyhow. But man, alive! I mean, any call that could have gone either way, any call that could have, it all went against FSU, and I mean to the point where you have overzealous button pushers up in the booth wanting to review.
How about that?
What the hell are we doing here?
We had to buzz in for that to throw Jacob Pugh out of the game because he dared to.
He tried to block a
pass.
pass. I mean, I don't. There were a lot of things there that you thought, man, what's going on? I'm sure he's incensed because when you go back and look at some of those things, you realize any one of those plays, had it gone in Florida State's favor, they might have won the game anyhow. I mean, it was there for them to still win.
Oh, and you were in the press box, and the first touchdown, if they called on the field that he was short, they wouldn't have overturned it, and it wouldn't have been a touchdown.
Right.
But they called it a touchdown, and then it couldn't be overturned. If Blackman's knee had been called down before the fumble, which live I kind of thought they would, but they called it a fumble, and now you couldn't overturn that. Because
by the way, the interception, what in the world was going on there?
They called it as Derwin James. That had to be a mistake. They must have been calling on was it McFadden, whoever the DB was.
It was McFadden.
Yeah, but the camera, when watching the replays on TV, I couldn't really you couldn't really see the beginning of the play. So I don't know, but it looked like he was there right at the same time. But again, it's just like every play, and then Florida State guys are having face masks ripped off, no call. You have the James Blackman's getting pile drives into the grass. After the
there was a targeting miss there too on one of those hits with him. You can watch the replay and it's like, well, they damn sure wouldn't have missed that against Florida State.
So it was, but to the overall point about the officiating was that's not why they lost the game. But it's
sure
like
didn't help.
They had a bunch of other things working against them. If any of those things had gone right, I think they win the game, but they all kind of went against them.
Well, and when you don't put yourself in a position where you have a margin for error because you're mistake prone and guys are confused as to what to do, then this is what can happen, and that obviously accentuates those missed calls or the calls against.
And you keep falling in these holes to start the game.
Well, that's every week, buddy. I expect to come out against Wake down 17-7. That's what we know. We'll be mighty comfortable. 17-7, we're used to this right here. Yeah, well, and that's a byproduct, again, where people get very frustrated. So what are we doing at practice? Because we're down 17-7 every freaking week. I mean, it's going back a ways now. It's remarkable they've won as many as they have.
Hey, he said today that they coach it. They coach to start fast. I don't know what that means exactly, but they're trying to they're working on it in practice, buddy. Look, again, and you talk about the defensive slow starts is the biggest thing. You didn't expect James Blackman in his first start to just come out and drive them down the field, but you expected the defense to keep them at bay, keep NC State at bay long enough for the offense to kind of figure itself. Because that was really, if you go back to before the season, that was kind of what we expected in the early part of the season, even with Francois, was the defense is going to be so good that it'll give the offense time to figure things out and make some plays here or there and win, maybe give you a chance to win the Alabama game and certainly win these other couple of games early in the year. But the defense has not played well enough to do that. And, and I know the offense scoring one touchdown each game is bad, but, one of those games against Alabama, one was the first-time quarterback. To me, the defensive issues are a bigger problem.
I feel like we need to collectively cry. I feel like we all just need to get together and let it out and then get to a place where, okay, we feel like we've cleansed our soul, go on, win some football games, look back at this and kind of decipher exactly what needs to be done. But they got to win a game first, and I guess it's no gimme. Hey, I'm going to talk to you tomorrow, obviously, but I know you can't wait to make the trek up to Wake Forest, buddy. A little Snuggy Hill action.
I got to make it back to Snuggy Hill.
You got to make it back to Snuggy Hill.
Can't complain about that. Looking forward to it.
They're smelling blood, buddy. They're smelling blood. It's in the water. This could be don't even talk about it. Don't even. I can't imagine having this conversation if Florida State starts 0-3 with a loss to Wake Oh, good.
You're gonna.
Oh.
You'll be back in 2004 mode. 2005.
Yeah. I'll be pounding the desk and stuff, and then it'd be like I'm 27 all over again. Oh, get out of here, man. Talk to you later.
All right. See you, Jeff.
Later. I don't even know what to say about that.
Since weird grievances came up there, the officials obviously not being the reason.
Right.
What is it with the 180 jab step that Jaquez Patrick does on the second play from scrimmage, and then there's also one that he does in the second half?
Yeah.
What kind of fake is that, and what kind of trigger is that? That looks like something like a Bruno Mars stage dancer
move?
would do.
Yeah.
Like the guys in the background, they whoop, whoop. Like,
yeah.
What is that? What are you trying to fake?
Well, it's a 180 jab step.
It was like the sign that the spinny whippity do was back, and here comes a lost NC State.
Oh, I just got the.
That's what that was.
I got the heebie-jeebies, man.
What
you
purpose?
cannot bring back the EJ Spinity Doo. I can't do it. I will not live through that again. I saw one too many Spinity Doos in my lifetime.
It's got nothing to do with nothing, but I was so mad when I saw it for the second time. That was what made me yell the loudest. What is this?
What is that, big man?
It's just a little,
why are we Spinity Doo? You're 240 pounds. Run like you're 240 pounds. Now, he did later on. He did run.
It happens at the snap. I'm not talking about when he has the ball. It's before he has the ball. It's like his first move. Then is it a timing mechanism?
Exaggerated sort of thing. I don't.
It's a timing mechanism for a delayed handoff or something?
I don't. God, dog, man. I just.
How about that call, too? We end up scoring the touchdowns, the first one that Blackman throws, but how about that call to Patrick on a short side sweep on second and goal? Well, we're doing this.
We're going to do that.
With that guy.
A little short side sweep with the big man. Let's go to the big man on the short side sweep.
That's the play I want
like
in the
that
red
call
zone.
right there. Let's go. Hurry it up. Yeah, it's tough. I understand. It's well, again, did you get what I was saying though? Real quick, I know you got the music on.
Put it back down.
We might as well take it all the way to the bottom here. Here's what I'll tell you. I wasn't trying to say that it's okay that this team is 0-2 and that they've had the kinds of mistakes that we see so frequently dating back to 2 years ago. I'm not saying it's all right. What I'm saying is when he was describing the bloodlust and the dissatisfaction that fans have with reasons given by the head coach, in this case Jimbo Fisher, my point back to them is, what do you want him to say? He's not going to say what you're thinking. He's not going to say, well, guys, quite clearly we suck. And I'm doing a terrible job. I'm going to do better. We're not going to suck starting this week. That's all I have to say. And walk off the... He's not going to do that. So short of that, that's all anybody would want to hear. Or, hey, guys, I've decided as of right now I'm going to fire Charles Kelly, Rick Trickett, Jay Graham. I'm going to fire everybody. Bill Miller, I'm firing them all. They can all get the hell up out of here right now. And then everybody erupts in applause. He's not going to do that. So... knowing that he's going to be a pro's pro and that he's attempting not to roll anybody under the bus, all you can hope for him to do is take responsibility for the problems that plague this team and that have been consistent problems. And when he does that, we're done here, because it's not my job or any other person's job who's interviewing him, asking him questions, to berate him.
Correct. I would say, and maybe this is something for after the bottom, but I think what people want from you is for you to say he's failing us, plain and simple.
I just got done saying that it's not acceptable to be an 11-6 in the ACC post-Jameis or 14-8 in your last 22 games. I'm stopping short of saying we should fire him, because I don't think we should. And, oh, by the way, we're not going to anytime soon. He's basically got a 10-year guaranteed contract. He's going nowhere. Now, if what you want me to say is I'm dissatisfied, well, obviously, that goes without saying. Sweet Jesus, we just lost at home to NC State. That sucks. It's embarrassing. But I do think that as far as the changes you want to see, they're not going to happen until after the year, and I think he's in the midst of assessing that now. But it's too late. For many people, that should have already happened, should have been done last year. I got you, but it wasn't. We live in the now. What do you want me to do? He's not going to fire anybody in season. So all we're left to do is to watch these games play out, assess it, talk about what we think he should do, and move forward. That's it. That's all we can do. And you know what? Going back to last year, there are plenty of people who tell you that he should have fired Charles Kelly. Okay. He didn't. Now it starts to look. Now listen, those people would admit this, and even those who weren't part of that, those who said no, let's give him another year. Let's see what happens. All right. Well, if it doesn't work after this year, you would think there's no chance he brings it back now, right?
Yeah, that's the reasonable answer, yes.
Okay, so if...
People say it was beyond reason last year.
Okay, but my point would be this.
They want to be told they're right. That's what they want to be told. They just want to be told
Everybody
they're right.
does. Everybody does. But here's the thing. If at the end of this year they're still struggling on defense for whatever reason, I think he will be told to have a good day. I think he will be. And if he's not, we do reach that point where at some point you say, well, I'm done blaming Charles Kelly. It's on you for not making the changes. I got you.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
You can get back to feeling like your normal self. That's 850-702-0894.
No fans, ESPN Tallahassee's official home for FSU watch parties in 2017 is Miller's Ale House on Appalachia Parkway.
Francois to throw for the end zone. It is caught. Touchdown. Seminoles are going for the win.
The ESPN Tallahassee team will be on hand for every Seminole away football game with giveaways, a chance to win some great prizes, and to have a good time.
To the pylon, he's into the end zone for an FSU touchdown.
So, when the Noles hit the road, join us at Miller's Ale House on the Parkway, the official FSU watch party headquarters of your home of the best in Seminole sports talk. 97.9 ESPN Radio, Tallahassee Sports Authority.
Mahindra's inventory clearance is going on now. We're reducing prices like never before on the toughest utility vehicles on earth, like a Mahindra 750S Camo as low as $135 a month, or up to $3,450 in cash back and savings. Only from Mahindra.
North Florida and South Georgia's authorized Mahindra dealer is TNT Supercenter, US 19 South in Thomasville, and at TNTSupercenter.com.
Offer with approved credit. See dealer for details. Program restrictions may apply.
Proof Brewing Company is Tallahassee's first and largest production craft brewery since 2012. They are locally owned and operated inside Railroad Square Art Park. Visit Proof's expansive brewery, outdoor beer garden, and tasting room with live music on Friday evenings. Proof Brewing Company's award-winning beers 850 and Mango Wit are now available in 6-pack cans. Follow Proof Brewing Company on Facebook or visit online at proofbrewingco.com for more info. Proof Brewing Company reminds you to please drink responsibly.
Wow, this is great. E+.
E+? Is that like A+?
It's better. The E stands for easy.
Easy Plus?
Yep, easy ways to save energy, water, and money from the City of Tallahassee Utilities, your own utilities. The City of Tallahassee Utilities has created easy ways to monitor your account with E+ online. We can pay online, we can check our balance online, compare usage history online, and even take a free online energy audit.
And I see the City of Tallahassee Utilities has created a new smart bill. Once we enroll, we do everything online. Billing,
paying, everything. What a time saver. Not to mention saving energy, water, and money.
And when we download the City of Tallahassee Utilities Digitally smartphone app, we can do everything on our phone. Pretty incredible.
Plus, there are new authorized payment locations, like some local gas stations, grocery stores, other city departments, and more.
We can even go to the Renaissance Center at 435 North Macomb Street to pay our bill.
Wow. The E really does stand for easy, doesn't it?
It sure does. E Plus from the City of Tallahassee Utilities. Your own utilities.
Barry knows cool. He's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool. You can put him to the test.
You can always count on the Knolls to deliver. But what about your home comfort system? If your system is older or giving you problems, call the professionals at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning to check it out. Make the right call this season and turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Go Knolls. License number CAC 057652.
You're listening to The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. I do think it's funny when you watch the fan base react to any given segment, certainly, but games, it runs the gamut. You'll get fire everybody, nuke it all, to let's everybody calm the hell down. You very rarely get the measured. The sort of, all right, listen, there are problems. He needs to address said problems. Let's see what happens, which is the, probably prudent thing to do. But I get it, man, because I've always said this, losses happen for a reason. When you predict a season and you say this is going to happen or that's going to happen, it's all well and good. Hey, hypothetical. Here's what happens in this game. Here's what happens in this game. Even if you were to say, well, I think Florida State's going to lose 3 or 4 games this year. When you watch them actually lose the game and how that happens, it elicits a response, an emotional response, generally speaking. And you want it to be fixed now. But Florida State's played 2 games. A long season. I get what the coach is doing. I get what Coach Fisher's doing. Now would not be the time to show that you're panicking. You can't do that. You have to show strength in this situation. But I do believe, and again, I said it to Ira, and I'll say it here again, listen, some of the filibuster stuff you listen to and when he answers questions, all that stuff comes from not wanting to roll a coach or a player. And the second thing is, what do you want him to say publicly? He's going to tell you, which he did, fit the blocks wrong, didn't execute, committed key penalties. We've got to do a better job of coaching. Well, we're done. It's the end of the discussion. There's no... I don't know what else you can get him to say.
Okay, how about this question? When you walked out of Doak on Saturday, where did that rank for you in the moment of losses in the Fisher era? And there have been quite a few head-scratchers where you go, well, I think coaching was the difference today and not for the good reasons.
I don't think it was as high as it's been in some other losses where I've really been absolutely flabbergasted by what happened. Because the circumstances were so weird, starting a true freshman at quarterback, 3 weeks off between games. Just there were some weird things that were involved in this. That not that I'm falling back on that as an excuse, because it's very frustrating. But just the set of circumstances are odd. We've been in the flow of a season before and suffered losses where you're like, well, where the hell did that come from?
Right.
I don't know. I certainly wasn't mad. But, Georgia Tech won all of one ACC game the year of the blocked field goal for a touchdown to win the game against us. So they won one conference game, and that was against us. One. That was pretty humiliating.
Well, and that was a series of games where you play poor in situations as well. Even if you think about it, the Clemson game that followed a couple weeks after, you poor in situations. You had a chance to go 14-0 in that game. It's just, to me, that's the number one thing that's always been harped on in his era has been situational football, and it was poor in all situations.
Well, right, and I think that's why I said that I'm sure, man, is he really having to look inward at a time like this? I think that's the hardest part. When you preach a certain thing and you believe a certain thing and you try and enforce these principles in practice and you stress them with your kids time and again, no matter the sport, right? And then it doesn't happen. Coaches, they look and sound confounded in the post-game interviews in those situations, and that leaves you wanting more, or you find even more frustration because there's an air of confusion there that seems, unbecoming of the position because you're paid $5 million plus a year to have the answers. And when you don't, that's when fans say, well, if he doesn't know, what in the hell? Yeah, I got that. But quite often it's them really thinking long and hard about what do I need to do. They're answering the question because they have to answer the question. Believe me, it's the last thing they want to do is be out there. And I'm glad they have to go out there and answer and be held accountable. But at the same time, I understand if you kind of flip it and put yourself in their perspective, what am I going to say to you in this situation? I'm not going to tell you that I'm firing coaches, even if I'm thinking that I want to. I'm not going to tell you that this kid sucks, even if I think he does. And I'm not going to, you know what I'm saying? So you're kind of in a situation where all you can do is give sort of fluff answers. You can say, I got to do a better job. That's about the best you can do.
Yeah, all I can say is that I was thinking about it the entire flight. So as I was heading up to Minneapolis to watch the game yesterday, and that wasn't a reprieve at all. But I was thinking, last year you have a moment which is captured on Showtime where it's a South Park stand and deliver moment. How do I reach these kids? How do I reach these kids?
Yeah,
guys, we're not reaching these kids. And I think, well, it's 2017. It looked like you cleaned it up, but was it a temporary patch fix? I mean, it's just there's a disconnect. I mean, when you have eye violations, that's the thing that kills me. Is if James Blackman misses a read, or if even Cam Akers is a true freshman, it's 3rd and 1. You think it's pretty simple. Hit the hole hard, son, and let's get a first down and let's keep this drive moving. When true freshmen make mistakes,
sure.
When Hamza, first 3rd down, they convert the first 3rd down. It's man coverage. Hamza gets beat badly. It's a pitch and catch first down. I can't be mad in those circumstances. But
it's confusion about your principles that piss you off.
With guys when guys have been here, yeah. I mean, especially with the receivers, they talked about it all week long, actually for 2 weeks. Everybody has to step up to elevate the quarterback's play, and you're having false starts.
But you did have a guy do that, and then he gets hurt. That
was
goes,
the death knell to me.
Right, but that's the devastating thing. That goes back to what we were talking about where, look, there are a lot of problems that are fair to point out, but at the same time, you got a guy on pace to probably go over 200 yards receiving, and there's a real rhythm developed between those two, and all of a sudden he's out.
Sure. Well, and Adonis Thomas filling in for Matthew.
Right.
He looked confused out there in a lot of moments.
Yes.
What gap do I go to? And you could see it when somebody's thinking. The speed is just not there.
That's right.
And they're freak athletes. So what's the problem here? They're thinking. So I get that too. But to me, yes, if you're just talking about injuries away from preparation and coaching, which has to be number one on the list, when Tate comes up and he's holding his arm that way, I go, you got to be kidding me. That kid's going to go for well over 2 bills receiving. He's your steady Eddie, too. It's not like that was out of character. I really thought this year was going to be a big year for him, and Coach says he's day-to-day. It's not a long-term injury thing. We'll see. But he was the one that, to me, in preseason camp, said all the right things. He looked polished as hell. He's where he's supposed to be.
Played well against Alabama.
Clearly, James Blackman thought he could count on him, and he was right that he could count on him to be underneath, down the field, everywhere in between. But, I mean, it's a whack-a-mole situation. And when it's a whack-a-mole situation, when something's going wrong over here, not just injuries, but performance, there's only one place you can look. You can't point to the players. They all took turns. So if they're all taking turns,
right,
where's the only place you can look?
No, it's coaching, and he admitted it. He's admitting that they got to do a better job of coaching. And that was... We're kind of, this is circular.
But it's damn it man territory.
Oh, there's no doubt. But, once we get to a place where, now, had he not said, we have to do a better job, I've got to do a better job, we've got to coach them up better to win situations, then I would have been livid. Because when you're pointing to situations time and again and admitting that you're not playing them well, he knows it's the details, and the details are what coaching is. And if you're not doing that, and they're not executing, and they're not absorbing what you're teaching in practice, because you can talk about how we go over this every day. He says that a lot. We go over this all the time. They just missed a signal. That's what he said. Missed a signal. Well, why? Why'd they miss a signal? What have you been doing the last 3 weeks? They missed a signal. What the hell are you talking about? They missed a signal. but they miss signals all the time. If you didn't own that and didn't say that that can't happen or that we got to do better than that or we have to be better than that, then I would be livid. But he is. And I'm still not happy, but he's not going to fire anybody the second game of the season.
But here's where I understand what Ira was bringing up. Well, that's great. I'm glad you're man enough to admit that. What are you going to do about it? Because we've been admitting that for. I mean, this isn't the first instance where he's saying we got to coach him better. You know, these are similar problems.
Well, that is the ball in his court sort of discussion, right? At the end of last year, when you made the decision not to let anybody go, everybody went, all right, let's see if it's fixed. So what happens from this point forward is if it's not, it falls directly at his feet. Everything does, I know, but really it is ramped up at that point.
The worst case scenario for so many fans out there is that this team gets on an absolute roll. They go on a tear, and then everybody, just enough to keep everybody back in place for next season. That'll drive so many people nuts, even if it comes with the fact that all of a sudden potential is reached and they're playing lights out football.
I think you'd still rather have that happen. I mean, in truth, the special teams was a disaster in week 1 against Alabama, but they really did improve and play well in a lot of other areas, so much so that we were buoyed from that game. Then we had the circumstances that took place that nobody could have predicted. This game's the first game that truly you go, well, what the hell, man? That looks like a lot of the dumb nonsense, stuff that occurred a year ago. So if that gets cleaned up and they beat Wake and Miami and then Duke and then avenge last year's loss to Louisville, of course, these are giant ifs. I got you. If it happens and they play well, the further removed you get from this game, the easier it would be to accept that, okay, that they righted the ship. He's probably not going to make any changes.
But at what point do you get tired of the ship having to crash into an iceberg before you make the change?
Right. You have to break out the lifeboats every year?
Is that what we need to do here?
We'll get to shore, but it'll be in a lifeboat. It won't be in the actual Titanic.
You guys are great at crisis management, but how about some just management?
Can we just not be in a crisis every damn year? Yeah, well, hire another captain. That Captain Jameis was special. I wish he hadn't taken that other job. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Some battery checks. No matter what ails your vehicle, AAA One Transmission can make your automobile healthy again. Don't put off your auto repairs. Stop it at 1023 North Monroe Street or call them at 222-2532.
Might I suggest the chicken taco salad from Bandito's Burritos, my friend?
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, U.S. Tax Shield can help you take back control. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Our team of tax attorneys can stop collections and get you protected. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the BBB, so call 800-466-9625. U.S. Tax Shield, 800-466-9625.
Each morning before you wake, you dream of breakfast like Mom used to make. Eggs, bacon, potatoes too. Can't wait to eat all this amazing food. Then the alarm bell rings and no one's cooking you anything. Real life is hard when your morning is hell. Have breakfast with a fried egg shell.
Introducing the new Naked Egg Taco. Crispy bacon, seasoned potatoes, and melty cheese wrapped in a fried egg shell. Only at Taco Bell. At participating stores for a limited time during breakfast hours.
Fire up the grills for another season of Seminole football.
2nd and 3, patient, then explosive, and a touchdown for the Noles.
It's Tallahassee Game Day, your ESPN Tallahassee pregame show featuring Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang.
Yeah, I like them.
Get the latest news, interviews, and insights 3 hours ahead of kickoff before the Noles defend home turf.
Hey, on Saturday, we're going to play a game. We're going to most likely win that game, and we're going to celebrate on Sunday.
Tallahassee Game Day is brought to you by Whole Foods Market, a leader in natural and organic food that brings the highest quality of local and global products to Tallahassee. Whole Foods Market, located at 1817 Thomasville Road, and presented by MMT Clinics of Florida. Visit mmtcfl.com.
To the pylon! That's a Seminoles touchdown!
It's been called shell shock, war neurosis, and battle fatigue. Today, we call it post-traumatic stress disorder, and it affects 1 out of every 5 warriors returning from battle in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Wounded Warrior Project offers comfort and support for warriors with PTSD and all other scars of war, whether those scars are visible or hidden. Find out how to help, because for warriors, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. Please visit woundedwarriorproject.org.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stop in at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Basically, the final minutes of a work day for a lot of you, so it's the perfect time for Beer 30, we like to call it, presented by our friends at the 7th Hill Tap Room on Appalachian Parkway.
Count 'em up, pour 'em out.
I'll just have a cup of coffee.
There it is. It's Beer 30, brought to you by the 7th Hill Tap Room on Appalachian Parkway.
Mix and Match Monday, kiddos. Get $1 off all Mix and Match 6-packs of beer. And tonight, Cup Club members are rewarded for their loyalty from 7 p.m. to close. What's the reward, Tommy?
Well, for the small fee of $10, you get a fancy-looking green and white 7th Hill Tap Room Cup Club cup. And you receive $1 off all drafts from 7 p.m. to close on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. $1 off all drafts all day long on Saturday for college football. So enjoy Monday Night Football and all day Saturday of college football. $1 off all drafts. It pays for itself.
Our thanks to our friends at the 7th Hill Tap Room, right underneath Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, where you can always find the newest and freshest Florida craft beer. I think we could all use a little beer tonight before the big game, for Dallas and Arizona. I have a feeling it's going to be a good football game. Speaking of the NFL, my word, very uneventful weekend in the NFL. I really didn't see anything that caught my attention whatsoever in the National Football League. Yeah, that was something. You knew there would be a response, certainly, when the President of the United States attacks their business, the customers, the employees, the owners. And there was. And that has caused an all-day chatter, as seems to be the daily case. But the actual games on the field were alarmingly good, and the football needed to be better. As a consumer, I've been slightly depressed with the level of football we were getting. And this weekend provided a lot of intrigue. But I will say this, too. You know the whole mantra, Tom, about, hey, listen, I don't bet the NFL because it really is completely unpredictable. This weekend.
Yeah.
Go right there, go with this weekend. Name the winning quarterbacks, folks. Have fun with that one. My word, right?
Buddy, I told you the game that I was eyeing this weekend was Atlanta-Detroit. How is that only a 2-point game, 2.5-point game? And there's Detroit, with the ball on the 1.5 yard line. A touchdown gets called back.
It's out of hurt feelings.
I mean, I had to go back and look at all these crazy finishes and crazy plays. Did you see the Chicago Bears play?
Oh, I watched more NFL football this weekend because I went and met friends out. Watched, and I saw all of these. Hey, by the way, as an aside, what's going on there? Of course,
God, shaving points.
If you're Blake Bortles, you really, really need to lobby about this thing moving to London, huh? Blake Bortles, since 2015, he's 4-11 in his time in Jacksonville. He is 3-0 in London. Not only is he 3-0 in London, in those games, 8 touchdown passes, 1 INT. Off to London you go, Jacksonville, and hello, Super Bowl, because if Blake Bortles is playing there, he's Montana. Anywhere else, he's ass. That said, my favorite part of that game and of that moment was dropping a 37-0 fake punt on Baltimore. Woo! Now, if you're trying to turn culture around and you decide that one of the criticisms is that Jacksonville never really is able to put people away and doesn't go for the jugular, send a message, why don't you, sir? Coach Marone, good Lord, we're going to fake a punt from our own 30 or whatever that was, up 37-0?
Coach, that's a good fake. Do you want to waste that here?
It was a hell of a fake.
Yeah.
And when you watch it, you go, my Lord, that's a well-executed fake. I'm not sure about the timing of said fake, but all right, go head on then and get that fake. Perhaps it was executed so well because Baltimore wasn't expecting Jacksonville to run a fake punt up 37-0.
So I'm walking around U.S. Bank Stadium yesterday and just taking a look at the lay of the land. They got a pretty cool pregame festivity lineup and plaza and all that kind of stuff. So I finally get to my press box seat. I sit down, I open up the laptop, and I go, all right, this game's on Yahoo. This is probably a 9-6 Jacksonville. 37-0.
Oh, yeah. It
what
got worse.
in the world?
The NFL yesterday, I'm watching Miami as impotent as you'll see.
Yeah.
A team B, and Ajay has 6 yards late into the third quarter. I go, all right, NFL, this is why I don't bet you.
Yeah,
this is why I don't bet you.
Yeah.
And the Bears are going to beat the Steelers. Oh, I see.
Right.
I see how it's going to be.
The Bucs blow out the Bears. The Steelers blow out the Vikings. The Bucs go on the road to take on the Vikings. They get blown out. And the Bears go to Pittsburgh and beat the Steelers. There's your NFL.
You know what I did predict correctly? Because I predicted the goofiness of the NFL to rise up and be as goofy as we suspected it would be. Remember my call that Buffalo would indeed beat Denver? They did. And it was really not in question. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
All right, way to go, Donnie.
And I'll tell you something else that's weird is that we may have mentioned the Saints might beat Carolina.
Yes, we did.
See, this is...
Stayed away from that game.
I stayed away from all of them.
Houston should have beaten New England.
You can't really know. I stayed away from all of them, even though I said on the air I thought that Buffalo would beat Denver and that there was a good chance the Saints would win. I still didn't touch it.
Well, I did with the Falcons-Lions game because I figure if I lose, I'm still happy.
Right. Well, and they should have lost.
Yes.
Yes. That's a tough. Detroit may be better than you think.
They might be.
Because that was to go 3-0.
I
That was
know.
to go 3-0. You got to give them credit. I knew our conversation per your trip was that the Bucs would not go beat Minnesota.
Right.
And they didn't.
Yeah.
Detroit would have gone 3-0. You'd have to be like, in today's NFL, I don't care how you're 3-0.
Well, that pick 6 from Matty Ice was a killer. They had all the momentum in that game. I just didn't expect the great Matt Ryan to throw a pick 6 there.
Final hour, forthcoming. Stay with.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Instead, it feels like you've been motorboating King Tut's sarcophagus. Show some mercy. Crack open an ice cold Mountain Dew. You know your mouth wants you to. Do the do.
Nothing quite beats authentic Italian food and a Pepsi. Indulge your taste buds and experience all the flavor of Italy right here in Tallahassee. Visit Urban Food Market today, located in the center of Tallahassee. Urban Food Market, proud to serve Pepsi.
Do you like video games, live music, dancing, and having fun with your friends? Swing by the new Fire Betty's, located in Midtown on Thomasville Road and 5th Avenue. Not only can you quench your thirst, but now Fire Betty's offers a new fun food menu as well. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. There's something fun going on every night, from trivia on Wednesdays to live music on Fridays, hospitality nights on Thursdays, and unique music video DJ Saturdays. Come take a trip down memory lane and make some new ones too. Happy hour at Fire Betty's is Tuesday through Saturday from 5 to 8 p.m. And don't forget about Sunday Fun Day with the NFL Red Zone, liquid brunch and drink specials all day, starting at 3 p.m. For catering or private parties, message Fire Betty's on Facebook.
Don't just listen to The Jeff Cameron Show. Watch it live. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Live weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Head to ESPNTallahassee.com today to watch live or catch up on demand. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Brought to you by Nice Tire and Auto, your trusted Goodyear dealer. 574-4100. And presented by TNT Supercenter in Thomasville, Georgia. And Franklin Spring Creek Ford.
Need a place to watch your favorite sporting event? Hobbit American Grill, voted best wings in Tallahassee by Tally Awards 3 years in a row. Thirsty? They have the Lucky Sevens. $7 domestic pitchers after 7 p.m., 7 days a week, $7.95. Daily specials. Locally owned and operated since 1978. Hobbit American Grill keeps it local with a wide variety of locally crafted beers plus a full bar. Hobbit American Grill. 3 locations to choose from. 400 Capitol Circle Southeast, 2020 West Pensacola Street, and 5032 Capitol Circle Southwest. Visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
Seminole Headlines, presented by Capital City Bank.
You're damn right.
Catch Jeff Corey and Ira each Tuesday night from 5 to 7 p.m. right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee. Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stopping at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Jeff Cameron Show, at least 4 today. Thanks for tuning to it. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. Good Monday to you and yours. Feels good to talk it out. Feels good. Let's go ahead and let's get this talking, right? Come on. Let's find a commonality, shall we? Online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything, but hey, sometimes you do. I understand. All 3 hours are posted both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. You can always email the show if you like. JCS at 979ESPNradio.com. Find me on Twitter at JCameron Show. WTSM app works well for your mobile devices. That's true. Damn, right when I was about to start, I see that stat tweeted out from Ralph Russo there. Florida State's the first team to start the season ranked in the AP top 3 and lose its first 2 games since Pitt in 1984. What? Damn it, man. That's not what you do.
Well, when you schedule Alabama and mighty NC State, that can happen.
Yeah, the Alabama game kind of figured would happen, and it actually happened in a different way than I thought to some degree, but I did think they'd lose the game, so I was mentally and emotionally prepared to walk out of Mercedes-Benz Stadium with a loss, and it happened, and I went, okay, that's fine, that's what happens. Alabama always beats everybody to start the year. They just do. Now we just got to gather ourselves, move forward. Wasn't quite prepared to have to start a freshman quarterback, admittedly. That's a bit of an adjustment we didn't expect to have to make. But nonetheless, I felt good about what we'd get out of the kid, and he played very well, I thought. And I think that's going to be the best aspect of what we have to look forward to is watching him get better and better because the talent's there, and I think he's going to be good, and I think you saw elements of that on Saturday. What I didn't suspect was that the defense would take a huge step back this weekend. They did. What I didn't think I'd see was the continued mistakes that have led Florida State to a 14-8 record over their last 22 and a 11-6, as I mentioned several times today in the ACC post-Jameis. These are things that have to get cleaned up. These are things that are unacceptable. These are things that lead fans to pull their hair out and scream, what in the hell is going on with our coaching staff? And Jimbo Fisher, who you will hear from later this hour, who I talked to last night, I think agrees. I think he agrees. Now, that's not enough in the moment because it doesn't change the result of Saturday's game. It doesn't allow for you to undo having seen that thing and walked out of that stadium where it was hot and miserable and it left you infuriated. I, too, found myself very, very, very dissatisfied. And that's the place we're at again. And it's hard to stomach. It's hard to imagine that for the second year in a row, before we ever even reach October, the season, for all intents and purposes, is over.
Yeah, against expectations, and the expectations were massive. And the hard part is if you're just looking at this as one game and you don't want to talk about the macro things, you can point to any number of situations, any number of players. Everybody likes the one clean-cut reason. But again, if you're not looking at the big issue and you're just looking at the film and saying, well, this guy messed up here, this guy messed up there, that's a penalty you can't have there, how you not aligned there. Everybody took a turn, it felt like, including the freshman, which you'll excuse because we knew going into the game he's going to make some mistakes.
Yeah.
He's going to be a little bit nervous to start.
And on the whole, he played pretty well, so you'll really forgive it if he's doing some other things right, which he did.
Well, and it's like, under promise, over deliver, because you watch the first 2 drives and you go, whoa, we might not get to 13 points today, and then he settles down and then he over delivers from there.
He threw a couple balls on Saturday that really raised the bar for what's possible down the field this season. I mean, he does throw the deep ball well, and the touchdown pass was a laser.
Yeah, it's good hand talent on the touchdown pass because you had to get over a defender.
Over the defender, yeah.
There's also confidence that comes with that, to make that throw in the first place. The one to Campbell early on in the game that got it started was a nice throw.
Nice throw.
The one that Tate got hurt on is a great throw down the middle of the field.
Several really good moments for the young man. Yeah, he had a couple hiccups, and especially late in the game when the whole world knew he had the throw, he skipped a couple and felt the pressure of the moment. But I think you come away from that game as dissatisfied as you are with the result, feeling good about what he is. Happy that special teams took a turn for the better. Finally, they played exceptionally well. And that's the frustrating aspect of the loss, is that the things you thought might rise up to cost you a game, the things that have cost you in the past, special teams play, that is for sure, those weren't the culprits.
No.
You had sort of the frustrations that carried over from a year ago that led us to question Charles Kelly. You saw some things again with receivers not being aligned, and for those that want Dawsey gone, they got their evidence there too again. So Coach Fisher talking about playing situations poorly. They were dreadful in the red zone, 1 of 6. I mean, these are the things that really cause a fan base to scratch their head and begin to say, what's going on here? You're not living up to expectations. You got a ton of talent. There's no reason for a defense to look tentative and be on their heels against an NC State team that really doesn't attack down the field. You know, these are the reasons people begin to question coaching in the moment. And these are the reasons that Jimbo has to do the interview and give the press conference that he did today, which is that, yeah, we've got to do better. You do. And it feels fairly empty. It doesn't feel like it's a fulfilling answer, but it's the right answer. There's not much more he's going to say short of telling somebody that he wants to make a change, and he's not going to do that. So what you get now is a long wait until we play Wake Forest on Saturday. I say long wait. It's not that long, but, when you lose a game, you want to get right back out there and, get that bad taste out of your mouth. And until Florida State gets a freaking win, you're just left pondering about what could have been and what all the expectations were and how they have not been met, and we've only played 2 games.
As we talk about this therapy session called the Jeff Cameron Show that's on our radio station, the more I think about the game, the more angry I am mostly at the defense and the way they look caught in between on a lot of things. Time. They look like they're in between, which means there's thinking going on.
Talked about it time and again, buddy. They play cautious.
I mean, save for the Derwin hit when Samuels gets the big screen. Or no, it might have been the option play on third down. Derwin lights the kid up inside the 5-yard line, but it's a 1st and goal.
Mm-hmm.
There really weren't that many flying to the ball, blow-up moments.
Not aggressive. A lot of cautious, soft underneath coverage.
Yeah.
It's
no, across the board. It's just what you saw in the Alabama game to start off the season was a defense that's flying all over the football field, one that didn't give up into the second half. And frankly, when we talked about it on the pregame show, I said, one thing that stands out about NC State is that defensive line pursues. No matter what happens, if there's a play to the perimeter, they pursue. And you know what? Chubb's pursuit on the 3rd down where James Blackman breaks out the B-button spin is the reason that NC State thwarts what looks like it's going to be a drive where we're going to score and perhaps take the lead. And I'm watching a lot of our players. I'm not saying it's as bad as it was North Carolina last year here in Tallahassee, but, it looks like the players are frustrated with the coaching staff to the point that they don't necessarily pursue with vigor down the field.
Well, we're not getting the tenacious, aggressive, flash, plays from a defense with the talent that they have that you would really suspect you're going to see from week to week. You saw some of it against Alabama. You didn't see it this weekend against NC State. And that inconsistency is what leads to questions, again, for yet another year about Charles Kelly and that group. And while that's fine and that's a bigger discussion, it will be very, very intriguing now to see what happens with the locker room. In the interview you'll hear this hour, I asked Coach Fisher, how is the locker room? Because it's one thing for a coach who likes to grind, who likes to teach, who likes to get up and go to work and improve things. Coaches, I think you have to be that way, first of all, and he certainly is, up at 4 o'clock in the morning, ready to get to work. That's fine, but kids are subject to the whims of emotion, and we know that. And when the expectation of a season is that you might play for a national title or that you figured to be a team that's going to reach the college football playoff, and just like that, 2 games into a season, you're 0-2, you haven't met expectations. You've had the storm and the lengthy delays and the frustrations that come from losing and having to practice what amounts to an extra 2 weeks for, a loss. I would say it's 50-50 whether you're going to keep them locked in or not. Now, that seems foreign to most people, especially if you're an adult. Most people would say, or, a guy in his 40s, let's say, what do you mean? It's competition. You compete. That's what you do. You get up and you play whether you're 0-7 or 7-0. I mean, you're a competitor, aren't you? I got you. And I feel that way. I never played a game in my life, whether it was organized or not, where I didn't want to win. I mean, there are times where, obviously, if I'm playing my kids in chess or something, I'll let it be close. I don't let them win, though. But anyhow, the point is, you want to win, and there are times to be ultra competitive. But in a sport like college football, you would think you got to strap it up and get ready to go, so that they should just do that because they're competitive and they're prideful and they're all those things. I don't know, man. Look around college football, whether that's here or anywhere else. You see games where kids, when things aren't going right, don't respond in the way you think they should. And last year was a great example of how that could happen. Now let's see, are they focused? Do they remain together, ready to play, and right the ship and get a win against Wake Forest? I'm actually suddenly very intrigued by a game that I think I otherwise chalked up in the win column long ago. I'm not so sure. Now, I'll pick Florida State this weekend, and I think, by the way, as an aside, it'd be a good time to pick Florida State if you're a sporting guy or gal, because everybody's going to fall off the bandwagon now. I got you, and that includes Vegas. Wink, wink. But if the locker room's divided, if people are dissatisfied with the coaches, that's not necessarily a guarantee.
Yeah, the hard part is obviously the practice is closed, but I think that's where you see it. Because on game day when the ball kicks off, everybody wants to go win. But then what happens if you get hit in the mouth a couple of times? That's the thing. You could be a front running team. You can get out to a 10-0 lead and you'll play hard all day long in a game like this one where it's a quiet game against Wake Forest at Snuggy Hill. But if you get hit in the mouth up there and there's 20,000 people in the stands, what do you do in that moment? Do you shut it down?
If you
because
get hit
screw
in the
these
mouth,
guys, they're failing us again. Forget them.
Yeah, no, it's a fair question for you to ask. It's rhetorical, I know, but I will tell you, you go up to Wake Forest in front of 20,000 and quote unquote get hit in the mouth and you lay down. Well, this coaching staff has a huge problem on their hands because over the years, I've been very consistent, certainly talking about this one thing that I look for. If you can't, as a staff, get a team to try hard, well, we're done here. I mean, that's ultimately as damning a thing as can be said about a coaching staff. And I don't think that's going to happen, Tom. But, well, I'll tell you what, that would be an interesting and different conversation we'd have to have on Monday.
Okay, the playbook for sports radio or blogs or ESPN at this point would be to make this thing incredibly full of hyperbole,
sure.
and there's fear and danger and all that stuff, controversy, try and drum it up to be more than it is. Playbook for the show has always been honesty. But do you feel like this is teetering on something dangerous or not?
No. I think that Jimbo has a tough decision to make for Jimbo. Now, I would fire Charles Kelly. I might have let several coaches go by now, me personally. I would look at this as, well, I know that Rick is well thought of in the NFL, and I know that Rick has proven at various points in his career that he can get the job done, but we're not consistently getting it done now, so I'm going to make a change. Maybe it's best we just part ways. Maybe his coaching style rubs kids the wrong way, whatever it is. I'm not questioning his acumen, but maybe it's time for me to bring somebody else in here. I would look at, the problems we've had on special teams in the past and maybe think about making a change. I would look at Charles and say, we're not getting the most out of our 5-star kids that litter this field defensively. There's a disconnect somehow. Maybe I need to make a change. That sounds like a lot of changes, right? But I'm just talking about from a few years ago to where we are now. I would have maybe had to consider all of those possibilities. When you're in a situation and you're going through it and you work with those individuals on a day-to-day basis, obviously you process that differently than a guy from the outside looking in saying, hey, something's wrong here. Fire that guy. Everybody wants to fire everybody. I got you. But I think I probably would have made a change by now somewhere, whether it's the defense coordinator, offensive line coach, special teams coach, whatever it is. I probably would have already done that. Now, I don't feel like, certainly I don't think there's a referendum on Fisher just yet. But they lost 3 games a year ago, and they lost 3 games the year before that. And I told you a couple, I would think middle of last year, I think I said something along the lines of at some point, fair or unfair, the further removed you get from the Jameis Winston era in which you couldn't do anything wrong and won 29 games in a row, a national title, a Heisman Trophy, went to the first ever college football playoff, all of those things, that the further removed you get from that, people will begin to compare and contrast what you did before Jameis and what you've done after. And if you continue to lose 2 and 3 games every year, just as you did prior to Jameis, people are going to say, oh, so short of a Jameis Winston coming through here, we can expect to lose 3 games every year. And I think that's where the fan base is at now, is this stark realization that maybe that's who he is. And they will argue then whether or not that's acceptable. Well, I'll just say this. He's going nowhere. He's basically got a 10-year deal. 8 years guaranteed. There's rollovers if you win 9, 10 games. He's going nowhere. So there will have to be pressure that he puts on himself to want to live up to a standard that he holds. And if those coaches are failing him, then he'll have to make changes a lot later in many people's minds than should have already been done, right? Than they would like. But that's what this year can represent the rest of the way, is sort of that's the referendum. Do we get a lot better? Do we see a change at the end of this year with the staff? Is he dissatisfied enough with his own coaches that he's decided, I've stuck by these guys, but they're failing me. We can't look like this, and we continue to look like this, and we're not getting the most out of our talent.
There are a lot of Monday morning quarterbacks, I'll grant you, but there are also a lot of reasonable people in the fan base.
Very reasonable. It's reasonable to say we can do better than 11-6 in the ACC post-Jameis and 14-8 in our last 22. That's reasonable.
There are a lot of reasonable people that said before the season started that the idea of not changing anything on the staff is crazy. And they're sitting pretty right now saying, well, you just cost us another season. There are, of course, other mitigating circumstances, and there's a long laundry list. There's injury to your starting quarterback. There's the layoff, the disjointed nature of the season. There's a lot of other reasons, too. But I guess I get the sense that people want to hear you answer the question. Is this season lost because he was unwilling to make the tough decision in the 2016/2017 offseason, which is I need to improve some of the people around me here on this coaching staff? Because coaching lost you this game. The quarterback played fine, even though he was a true. He played well enough for you to win the football game. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But coaching is what cost you this game. Dave Doran and his staff looked more prepared than ours. That's, whew. I mean, if you need a cold
wake-up call,
I mean, just a slap in the face. That's a slap in the face. We were outcoached by Dave Doran, who has been a punchline in the conference for not being able to get it done in situations.
Yeah. I would have made a change at the end of last year.
I know you would have.
Yeah, I would have made a change. And each day that goes by and each game where they don't live up to expectation and get the most out of their talent and reach their potential is more and more damning. And it's another day in which more and more people will start to go to the side of he better or needs to fire some guys, get some new blood in here. I'm more intrigued by whether or not he sees it that way. My suggestion is that I would have replaced Charles Kelly. I would have replaced him before this season. There's no question I would have done that. I thought he should have done it last year. At the end of last year, I would have said thanks. Glad we righted the ship at the end. It's a good way for you to go out, and I'm moving on. And best of luck to you. But he didn't do that. So now you're in a situation where if you continue to have problems on that side of the ball and they don't step up and play to their talent, that's going to grow deafening. People are going to be incapable, really, of kind of watching these games play out with any other thought. And I get that. I mean, at some point it crosses over from he needs to replace this coach or that coach to, okay, if he won't do that.
Right. And that's why I'm asking
and
originally.
we're not at that place. We're not at that place where you'd say, if he doesn't do this, then I think he should be fired. Like, we're not there. I'm not jumping to that yet. But I would have made a change.
And that's why originally I asked, do you think this is on the brink of something else? Because for me personally, I think this team is capable of playing
pretty good football.
Oh, I mean, really high caliber football.
I think they will too. And I keep saying to myself and to others when we talk about it, is Saturday really, really freaking disappointing and to some degree in certain capacity, certain areas unacceptable? Yeah. Do I think that means they're not going to, go win 7-8 games? Well, I forget.
6 or 7 at
this point. Yeah. No, I think they'll beat Wake this weekend. Right now, as we sit here today, I believe they're going to beat Miami here. But I know a lot of people disagree with that. That's fine.
But on the other side of that coin, where I think they're going to be playing really good football, the fact that they're not doing it consistently, what's the whole point? The whole point of this program, it's led under this head coach, is about consistency.
Well, I think here's the other problem they have. It's one thing if, you don't live up to an expectation in a given year, you're a little frustrated by that, but you look around the country and see that happens a lot. There aren't too many teams not named Alabama that consistently win like they're supposed to win all the time, right? I mean, Ohio State gets beat at home this year to Oklahoma, and I'll grant you it's Oklahoma. Let's see what they do the rest of the year, but they've had their moments too where you go, well, even the national championship team that lost to Virginia Tech at home, we thought, well, what in the world? So you see these kinds of things, but
the problem is with Ohio State, you point to Virginia Tech, and there's not like 7 others with Urban Meyer. He's got like 4 in his whole career. It's like Ole Miss, it's Virginia Tech. It's a short list. With us, there's like 8, 9, 10 games.
Well, except for at the end of his time at Florida when he was losing 6 games and then faking heart attacks.
Sure.
So, but what I will say is Clemson has surpassed you. That is the much bigger problem, is that Where you were several years ago was that Jimbo's a better coach than Dabo. This is a better program than Clemson. And the exclamation point on that was to go in there at night with the whole nation watching and deliver an ass-kicking en route to a national title. Since that time to this time, Clemson is a better program now with more consistency and doing a better job of coaching up their players and putting them in positions to win big, big games, of which they are. They've gone to back-to-back national championship games. They just won it last year, including, obviously, a win over Alabama, whom we just lost to this year and didn't move the ball against, and they certainly did. So people see that and they say, hey, man, that guy, whether you think he's a good coach or not, has brought in Venables and others and surrounded himself with guys who've changed that program, the culture, and the expectations to a place where they have surpassed Florida State, and that's what's unacceptable.
Pretty damning, right? That in the last 3 seasons, the 10 biggest games in ACC football, at least 6 of them, 7 of them are all Clemson-centric. I mean, we may be involved in the ones with Clemson, but it's not because of us. It's because what's Clemson going to do in 2015 when Florida State comes up? But will they exercise the demons? And then last year, obviously, that's more about Clemson on its road because we'd already lost to Louisville. So will they stub their toes in Tallahassee because they've shown inconsistencies?
And nearly did, and Florida State was in that position to win that game.
But it's about them. It's not about us.
Right. And that is absolutely unacceptable.
It's an insult.
It is. And it's a testament to how well they've done, and you give them credit, and you tip your cap, and you say, "Okay, well, let's go." And when you aren't showing that you're making ends, that you're getting close to being back to that, where you've rightfully reclaimed your spot as the top team in the ACC, or at the very least the Atlantic. If you haven't done that, then people are saying that's unacceptable. And others write in, and we're going to get you the Jimbo Fisher interview in a second, but. Mario, you're right about this. I will say there are other factors that get involved in this, and I think I know where you're going. At Jay Cameron Show, if you consistently recruit at an elite level and consistent elite play doesn't ensue, hard decisions should not be shirked. Agreed. When you're not living up to your potential, when kids aren't playing to the best of their ability and you're not playing to your potential based on recruiting rankings and the caliber of athletes you're bringing in, there is no other place to point the finger. And I agree. Hard decisions should not be shirked. As it pertains to the head coach, of course, I think what you're talking about, Mario, and anybody else, and we have a lot of similar emails and tweets today, is you're saying he's got to make the decision now to part ways with some coaches that he's very loyal to. Because I can tell you from a financial standpoint, the university is not parting ways with Jimbo Fisher. That's just not happening. So that's not on the table. Not saying that you're suggesting it should be or that a lot of you have emailed. I'm saying it's about the assistants at this point.
Yeah, but don't force the booster community / athletic department to have to kick down your door and say, are we going to have to make a decision for you? You know what I mean?
That's ultimately where the conversation goes. We saw it. We've done this.
Last year was a warning shot.
But I'm saying we saw this during the lost decade. This is what happens if you don't make moves that are for the best of the program over time, then ultimately it comes back around to you. We're a ways from that. Well, maybe not a ways. A season.
Yeah.
This season from that. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin, Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Tree service. Summertime is here and storm season is right around the corner. We offer free consultations with a certified arborist where we meet with you and advise you on which trees are healthy, diseased, dead, or ones that may need trimming or even removal.
Mills Tree Service, we go out on land for you.
Give us a call at 894-TREE.
Proof Brewing Company is Tallahassee's first and largest production craft brewery since 2012. They are locally owned and operated inside Railroad Square Art Park. Visit Proof's expansive brewery, outdoor beer garden, and tasting room with live music on Friday evenings. Proof Brewing Company's award-winning beers 850 and Mango Wit are now available in 6-pack cans. Follow Proof Brewing Company on Facebook or visit online at proofbrewingco.com for more info. Proof Brewing Company reminds you to please drink responsibly.
The new Fox and Stag, Tallahassee's local craft cocktail bar in the heart of Midtown on Thomasville Road and 5th Avenue, featuring a newly expanded liquor menu including limited release scotches, whiskeys, and bourbons, as well as unique spirits distilled right here in Florida. If wine is your thing, swing by and try one of Fox and Stag's hand-selected bottles from their ever-expanding wine list, or simply enjoy one by the glass paired with a charcuterie board or delicious small plates. Sometimes you just want a cold beer, and Fox and Stag has you covered too, with rotating drafts and bottles sure to quench your thirst. Come by for a drink and stay for the company, Tuesday through Saturday from 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. For catering or private parties, message Fox and Stag on Facebook.
Noel fans, ESPN Tallahassee's official home for FSU watch parties in 2017 is Miller's Ale House on Appalachia Parkway.
Francois to throw for the end zone. It is caught. Touchdown. Seminoles are going for the win.
The ESPN Tallahassee team will be on hand for every Seminole away football game with giveaways, a chance to win some great prizes, and to have a good time.
To the pylon. He's into the end zone for an FSU touchdown.
So, when the Noles hit the road, join us at Miller's Ale House on the Parkway, the official FSU watch party headquarters of your home of the best in Seminole sports talk. 97.9 ESPN Radio, Tallahassee Sports Authority.
Tallahassee loves the corner pocket as much as a crystal ball winning catch.
He's looking, he lost it to the end zone. It's Benjamin! Touchdown! With 13 seconds left!
The 97.9 ESPN radio special is a must-have every Monday and Wednesday at the corner pocket. 10 mouth-watering wings, a fresh side of fries, and a chilled domestic pint of beer are just $9.79 all day long. Be sure and try the fish blend of sauces, a true wing eater's favorite. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
He's gone!
Home of Trivia Tuesday, Beer Bingo Thursday, and the daily $7.99 lunch special.
Woohoo! Banditos!
Huh? Where?
Banditos Burritos, baby.
You're locked in with the Jeff Cameron Show
on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
.9 ESPN Radio. Every Monday, actually it's Sunday evenings, I interview Jimbo Fisher, the head football coach. That's a good thing. People want answers. I don't know that you get them all. They're not always satisfactory answers, right? That's the hard part. But I will say that he's never missed one of these without extenuating circumstances, and it's certainly true that he shows up after losses. So I give him credit for that. I will say that. We talked last night and played this earlier in the 3 o'clock hour. Here it is again for those of you that missed that. This is the Mountain Dew, Jimbo Fisher. Jimbo Fisher. Can you identify, after looking at the film, a couple of things that have to change right now for this team to achieve its goals?
Well, I think, first of all, we had to address the special teams issues, which I thought we did a great job at special teams in this game. I think offensively, just being more disciplined on some situations. Like we had a couple motion penalties where guys were too anxious and got us in some things. And then we got to finish in the red zone. Third down was decent. We got to get a little bit better there. Continue to run the football, which we had great balance. And then we did 2 minutes before the half, and then we got down 2 scores, but wanted to keep balance, which I thought we ran the football. We threw the ball down the field and deep ball as well. We got to clean up the red zone. We had opportunities down there. We got to be physical and run it, and also convert on some passes and some little screen blocking outside in those RPOs that were really big that we missed a couple that could have been huge. And then defensively, give up some 3rd and 7 or more. Give up 3 or 4 of those, which one we didn't have good cover. The other 2 were off screen type things that we should have had played, and then get a little faster start. And then we give up the one big play before half. We violated right there before half, and then at the end couldn't get the stop, which in the run game. which is disappointing because at times on both sides we did some good things. We moved the ball, the young freshman did. We ran the ball. We got to finish drives, and it's not as far as we think, but at the same time it is if you're not willing to make those little adjustments. And we got to keep fighting for the inches, and we got to do a better job as a staff of just coaching those guys and getting them to play better.
Was there? You mentioned the red zone, and that's the one glaring area really for anybody watching this game. And I know you pride yourself on working those things, and there have been plenty of seasons where Florida State's been great in the red zone. Obviously, 1 of 6 is not the number you want to see. Was there a pattern, or was it varied?
Varied. Yeah, if you miss a block on a run, bubble screen, or an RPO out there, we should be in man push one and take 2 blocks. We could walk in. We do it other times. We didn't then. Throw a little protection. Guy didn't run the route like we're supposed to. Whatever. I mean, just little things that you look at one guy and they say, a guy, well, he played a pretty good game, but he had those 2 things. But those 2 things in those games are things that cost you. You know what I'm saying? Nobody like they're terrible, but at the same time, all those things magnify when you're playing good people when they're very tight games, and you got to do them better. I could say we had 1 touchdown. He made a great throw in the drive down there, and then the other ones we had opportunities. We just didn't get them in, whether we ran it or whatever, and we got to do a better job.
Well, let's talk about James Blackman. That was the big question coming in. Obviously, you get put in a situation that nobody wants to have to deal with, where you lose a quarterback for the year in the first game of the season, and then you have the oddity of the delay. A lot of people wondered how he would play. At least with the naked eye, Coach, it looked like he played pretty well. I know you've had the ability to go back and look at the film. How did he play?
He played pretty well. I mean, you go back. There's some things he'd like to have back. He bobbled a snap there one time. He got anxious and wanted to make a throw. He had a one-on-one. But he had the presence to pick it up and at least get rid of it. He's got a lot of poise and presence. Had a great 2-minute drive before the half. It got us back in the game. Hit some great deep balls in the second half. We were running at the end of the first half, and we had him there. And all of a sudden, they gave us the opportunity for the deep ball, and he saw the matchups and went straight to him on his own. And, I mean, made the throws, made the reads and things we had taught him about, and was very confident in that regard. And scrambled well. And unfortunately, had the one error on the fumble, which is an inch from he makes the right play. They cover it. He scrambles out, gets played, makes it and goes to slide down, and unfortunately, just an inch before his knee hits the ground, I guess I couldn't see everything, and that he fumbled it. But at the same time, I thought a lot of poise and composure, could come back off the field and tell you what was going on, why it happened, why it didn't happen. Was pleased, and again, he's hard on himself. But I thought for the first game against the opponent he made a lot of throws, a lot of RPO throws, got the ball out in space for us, a real good job. Did a really nice job in the game. And, there's obviously a lot of areas of improvement, but, I mean, that was a pretty good first performance.
Yeah, and he had something really special brewing with Auden Tate before the injury. Wow. That was going to – that was a career day for Auden, obviously, and he was well on his way to putting up huge numbers. Is he all right? What's the injury situation?
Well, it'd be day to day. I mean, it's something he'll definitely be back. I don't think it's not out for the year or anything like that, but he could be back really soon. It's just a matter of how it heals right here quickly. But it's still too early to tell yet.
Had a lot of guys go down. Are you day to day with all these guys? I don't want to go through every one of them.
Thomas was another big one for us right there. When we lost him early, he actually, when he come through and got that holding call, the center grabbed him and he was extended out, and you see him twist, and it threw his lower back messed up. But I think it's something that at the day they couldn't. It spasmed up and locked completely up on him. But I think he should be okay here in another day or two. Hopefully they get some meds in him and different things and get it loosened up. But that was another one. Most everybody's day to day. Nothing that I think that was guys all should be back from.
I know it's frustrating. We can all see you when you have to call a timeout because of receiver misalignment or whatever it might be.
Two of them cost us now.
Yeah, I looking at that, Coach, people do want to know. I got to ask you, what happens when that's going on? Why do we have that? I think people think of that as it's maddening.
It was simple. Just missed a signal. Didn't get lined up. I mean, had a signal and saw one thing and it was actually another. I mean, just completely missed the signals. Now, I mean, it wasn't brain surgery. It wasn't anything they did on right. They just read the wrong thing. When a guy gave the hand, the signals out, which we do every day in practice. And again, I don't think they did it on purpose. They just saw the wrong formation and the wrong alignment and in the signal and lined up that way. And we saw it and had to use the timeout, which hurt us at the end of the game. I mean, it was as crazy. It's as simple as that. It's something we do on every play, every day. And I'm not blaming them. We got to signal better. We got to just make sure we do it better.
Is that nerves or is that them pressing? I
don't know. It's called being a human being out there in the game. I mean, and you get guys, some of it's young guys, trying to get lined up and play. And you want to play all those young guys. That's what people understand. I mean, you want to play all those young guys. It's great. But there's a lot of things that go into with playing and playing at a high level. I mean, and do things. And again, they don't do it on purpose. Again, I don't blame. We got to do a better job of that. But I mean, it's that simple. There's no other answer. There's nothing else to say about it.
Another guy that shows signs of being great and then turns around and has a mistake and can be frustrating is Cam Akers. I guess assess his play up through these first couple of games. He's a true freshman.
Getting better and better, very good with the ball. He had to, the one short yardage run, he should have stuck up in there and really made a nice run. Got us in the 4th and 3 there, but otherwise he had some nice. He broke a zone play all the way back on the backside. He had a stretch play. Had some really nice runs up inside. He's doing a nice job. He really is, and he's evolving into the player he is. He's a true freshman. He's played 2 games, and about where we thought he would be. You remember Dalvin hadn't even played that much at this time.
Right, sure.
We go on that and we keep forgetting about these guys out of high school, but he's doing a nice job. He's developing. Jacquez had a nice game in the deal, but Cam's developing very nicely. It's just, he's a true freshman.
It appeared, at least at first glance, and I always like to pick your brain immediately after so you can tell me what the film tells you, that NC State really took advantage offensively of us defensively being, I guess I'll just call it soft underneath. They kept finding open guys underneath, really didn't hurt us too much down the football field. In retrospect, was that too soft a cushion?
Well, it was at times, but other times, guys were on, they made plays, and then the zone plays on the 3rd down plays, we were in good zone, we just matched it, and then we didn't get off the blocks. But that's the way they throw the ball. Did nothing that we expect any different. Guys had to play them a little tighter, which we were planning on doing and trying to do. And they got a couple balls in there and made plays. And then the other 2, they had a couple hit a couple of eye violated there a couple times.
What's the locker room like, Coach? Obviously, I know you're a guy that likes to grind and a guy that goes back to work and likes to fix problems, but kids can be emotional and suffer from the whims of emotion. 0-2 is certainly where nobody thought this team would be. How's the locker room?
Good. Actually, we were honest with them afterwards, and I took blame. It's my side. It's my fault. I got to put you in a better position, and we got to coach and play better, and that's what we'll do. It wasn't bad. Very disappointing. They know it. They're no more. Listen, no one in the world is more disappointed than they are and we are. And where we're at, but also understand how to fix it. And they got to stay off, quit listening to talk shows and social media. Everybody does their job. And I joke about that, but it's true. Hey, they got to lock down and go take and control and play, and don't let their self, who they are as a player and believe in. Listen, they're the same great players we had here. We'll coach them, we'll get good, and go one game at a time and play and get back in it. And I know that sounds crazy, but that's what's got to happen. And then you get on a roll and play. But we got to get there. And then. And people, you find out what you're made of right now. You find out who you can trust and your brothers are, and I think they'll all do that. I think our kids were really good afterwards, and like I say, disappointed, but they understand and believe in what we're doing, and we'll battle back.
Coach, I always appreciate your time. Best of luck moving forward. We'll talk again next week.
Thank you, Jeff.
All right, take care.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan. As all of North Florida comes back to business as usual, I want to remind you all of the reasons that this is the best time ever to buy a new Kraft Nissan. Seriously, for 10 more days, we have huge post-storm offers we may never see again. Plus, September is the close of our biggest quarter, and I need your help. Kraft Nissan must sell 78 new Nissans in 10 days, hit our largest dealer bonus ever. And you know me, I believe in sharing that money with you. We hit our number, you save thousands below invoice, we both win. Plus, rebates up to $4,000 on sedans, $9,000 on trucks, 0% interest on most models, Nissan Hurricane Relief money, and no payments for 6 months. Kraft Nissan's Lifetime Warranty Plus. We've added 1 year free maintenance and $1,000 over Kelley Blue Book for your trade. I'm telling you, Kraft Nissan must sell 78 new Nissans by the close of business Monday, October 2nd. We seriously will entertain all offers. So please help us help you save thousands with the final days of Nissan's Hurricane Relief incentives. And remember, Tallahassee is a Nissan town, a Kraft Nissan town. Go to craftnissan.com for details.
You can always count on the crisp, refreshing taste of Bud Light, just like you can always count on Always Game Gary. No bar is too far. No wing sauce is too hot. Not for Gary. Gary is the man. He's nothing like Keith. Keith never wants to do anything. Why are we even talking about Keith? Always Game Gary is famous among friends. He deserves a Bud Light. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, AB St. Louis, Missouri.
Look at that mouth. That poor, parched mouth. So dry. What'd you eat for lunch? Chalk dust? Did your mouth cannonball into a barrel of mothballs? You're being awfully quiet. Is that because your mouth feels like the business end of a Dremel saw? Is it because your mouth just wrote a haiku and all 17 syllables were dry heaves? You're so parched. You know it. I know it. The entire radio knows it. Just admit it. You want a Mountain Dew. Your mouth feels like it just inhaled the insides of a punching bag, and the only remedy is that neon green potion. Right now, your mouth could be tongue bathing in the refreshing citrus kick of Mountain Dew. Instead, it feels like you've been motorboating King Tut's sarcophagus. Show some mercy. Crack open an ice-cold Mountain Dew. You know your mouth wants you to. Do the Dew.
Nothing quite beats authentic Italian food and a Pepsi. Indulge your taste buds and experience all the flavor of Italy right here in Tallahassee. Visit Urban Food Market today, located in the center of Tallahassee. Urban Food Market, proud to serve Pepsi.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. At this hour, Cavaliers point guard Isaiah Thomas has made progress with his hip injury, and the team expects him to play by January. Cavs have emerged as the favorite to land Dwayne Wade after he agreed to a buyout with the Bulls, reports ESPN. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell said he's proud of the league after watching what happened yesterday. Goodell told the Monday Morning Quarterback the demonstrations of protest reflected the frustration, disappointment of the players over the divisive rhetoric from President Trump regarding those who kneel during the national anthem. Week 3 finishes up with the Cowboys hosting the Cardinals on Monday Night Football. Coverage at 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN.
Time to upgrade your wardrobe with CT Shirts, the most exquisitely crafted British-styled crease-free shirts I've ever worn. One CT shirt normally costs $100. I got you 3 shirts for just $99. Go to ctshirts.com/ESPN. ctshirts.com/ESPN.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stopping at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I guess I'll watch football tonight, and if you would, you can get set to cue this up because, it's a game. I'm going to watch it, but football beat me up this week. Maybe Dallas, Arizona will just be fun, don't have a dog in the fight sort of thing. 8:30 Monday Night Football. Decompress, not really worry about it. I don't even think – do you have a fantasy guy in this game tonight? You have Zeke.
Yeah, I got Zeke, so I'll be an interested observer, but I don't have any other interests in this game.
Yeah, I don't have anything. Cue it up.
Ready for a cold one? Proof Brewing Company in Railroad Square Art Park presents What's on Tap. So, Jeff, what'll it be?
I guess football mixed in with a little bit of baseball. I will say I find it awfully harsh that Darren Sproles got hurt over the weekend and is out for the year. That in and of itself is not shocking. We're talking about the sport of football. Guys often get hurt and are gone for the year. But to tear your ACL and break your arm on the same play, damn, doesn't that seem like overkill? That seems like a bit much.
That seems like something that would happen to a Mets pitcher.
It's like going down the steps of the clubhouse.
Yeah, there it is.
Slip. Oh, my knee. Oh, my arm. Yeah, Both at the same time. If you question whether or not this is a violent sport, how about my man Darren Sproles breaking his leg or tearing his ACL and breaking his arm in the same play?
Jacob deGrom has passed away from walking to the team clubhouse, suffering several injuries simultaneously.
It's insane. So, that'll be on tap tonight. And our thanks to the Proof Brewing Company for coming on board to sponsor What's on Tap. Proof Brewing Company and For the Table Hospitality present the 5th Annual Florida Tap Invitational. That's finally coming up, 29th and 30th. One of North Florida's largest two-day beer festivals. VIP and general admission tickets are available online at FloridaTapInvitational.com. It's a good thing. Yeah, football really just repeated shots to the testicles this weekend, just one after the other. Man alive. Even in games that, for example, I don't necessarily find my fandom involved, my emotional investment. But, I like Iowa because one of my best friends is from Iowa, grew up an Iowa fan. We're watching that game together, and, that'll hurt your feelings. Lose on the last play of the game. That's a toughie. There's that. And then, the Florida-Kentucky game, if you were hoping for Kentucky to pull that out. I picked Florida, but it's every week with Florida, isn't it?
Well, it's every year with Florida and Kentucky.
Well,
it seems Stoops has had some whoppers. And
you can see it coming. You're this is happening. They're going to lose this game. You could see that start to unravel. It's weird. It's like the whole, there's a weight. There's a weight. You have to hope Miami feels it in a couple of weeks. There's a weight to trying to overcome a streak, especially one as profoundly long as that one. And everybody in the stadium knows it, and everybody on the field knows it. And the one that's desperately clinging to what they've done to this point without having crossed the finish line is the one that you really begin to feel for, because that's no way to win a game. That's falling into a win. You have to go win the game.
Well, yeah, think about Tennessee and Florida last year up in Knoxville and how hard it was for Tennessee to overcome itself in the first half. And it finally did, and then it ran away with the whole thing. But you could tell how difficult it was and what a monumental
and the whole
hurdle.
stadium. The whole stadium's going, and you could watch that game on Saturday night. Watching Kentucky, you're going, this is not going to happen for you. This is not going to happen for you.
It's like they're doing a lot of things right, then receivers are just jumping up and down, saying, "Hey, man."
Yeah, it was. That's a toughie.
I couldn't believe they called the holding. You're going to call a holding in that situation.
He did do it, though. It's kind of a big situation, but, you're the guy that says if it's holding in the first quarter, it's holding in the fourth quarter.
I agree with that, but the SEC has not been known for, let's say if it was Alabama in a key situation like that, I don't know that it's the same thing as a first quarter hold. They take care of their own in the SEC.
I think you should in every conference for that matter, except for when we're playing NC State. Now, I just spent most of today avoiding that subject, but Florida State straight up got screwed against NC State, period. Now, listen, screw them. They put themselves in terrible situations.
Yeah.
You got to play better, got to coach better, you got to do a lot more things better. But Flanagan's crew can go to hell. They're an embarrassment. It's it's embarrassing how lopsided that is.
I know that people hated Ron Cherry forever, but this is what they always thought Ron Cherry's crew was.
Oh, no, this year is
unbelievable.
I don't know how.
What is it about our quarterbacks? Is it just open season on our quarterbacks and then everybody else in the NCAA is protected by roughing the passer?
Well, and there are other elements to this game, too, where you're going out of your way to find stuff while ignoring others. It's really, really... they violate the spirit of the rule on the pew play. That's not what we're trying to do here. And you're buzzing down to do it. It's not even called on the field. You're going to buzz down to do that, are we? While he's trying to bat down a pass? Get the hell up out of here. Well, I talk about the integrity of the game being affected all the time, and I say we've really kind of crossed a line long ago in football. It's a violent game. And now that everybody's informed, then we don't need this. We all know what the game is. It's very violent. Let's be on the up and up about that, and then let's play ball.
Man, and let's just say it's Florida-Kentucky that we're talking about. Now, the penalty's called on Florida. I'd even say in the moment, man, get the hell out of here. That's a double pass?
Yeah.
And you're going to tell me that guy who's not traditionally a quarterback is afforded protections that 99% of quarterbacks would not be afforded with 99% of officiating crews.
Sure.
Really? That's where we're going with this.
Unbelievable. Hey, let's get to probables as we wrap up the program. Really nice moment in baseball over the weekend. I know it's down to the home stretch, the final 7 days. Whatever you think about Joey Bats, just pretty cool to watch. Curtain calls are awesome when they're done for the right reasons, and it's a guy's career, and it's somebody sitting off, and you can see good job by the manager. One last, and as he comes jogging in, You talk about fighting back, sobbing. It's got to be tough. Knowing this is it.
Oh, a lot of years. I mean, a decade.
Yeah, they love his ass, I mean, and you would if he was on your team because he came through in some big moments.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did. And he let the other pitcher know about it.
Yes, he did.
In those moments. And he was a Pirate who did nothing. Nothing. He did nothing. Cue it.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
Nats, Phillies, A.J. Cole, Aaron Nola. Blue Jays, Red Sox, Brett Anderson, Drew Pomeranz. We've got Astros, Rangers, Colin McHugh, and Andrew Kastner. Angels, White Sox, Ricky Nolasco, James Shields. Cubs, Cards, John Lester, Luke Weaver. Luke Weaver, by the way, the first Cardinals rookie since 1944 to win 7 straight decisions, has posted a 1.49 ERA since Adam Wainwright went down with an injury. They went up, well, Adam's hurt. Let's bring in this Luke Weaver kid out of FSU and see what he does. Shoved. Marlins, Rockies, Despaigne and Tyler Chatwood. How about Derek Jeter? Just straight slicing throats out there with the Marlins.
Do you mean anything in Marlins history? Get
hey,
the
Dave,
hell.
Hey, Dave, go tell all these luminaries they're done. Tell them to suck it. Here's a baseball. I signed it. Giants, D-backs, Johnny Cueto, Zach Godley. Mariners, Hayes, Felix Hernandez, Daniel Gossett.
That's a perfect parallel. They get signed Jeter baseballs.
Of course. That's what they get. Padres, Dodgers, Travis Wood, Yu Darvish. That's a look at those that shall reside on the bump tonight. Yeah, that was ruthless. I mean, cold-blooded. We could play that on loop. I read that story and went, damn, Derek. Did they, agree with you? What has happened? What the Hawk do to you? What in the world?
If he's going to die, he better do it and decrease the surplus population.
I mean, goodness, Jeff Codine had to feel like he needed a shower. Good work out of you. Good job, Matthew. To those that called in or listened, I surely do appreciate it. You guys be well. Have a great night. We'll talk tomorrow.